It's time for Twit This Week in Tech. Great panel for you. In fact, one of the chat room folks said this one is a banger, and I would agree. Harper Reed and Amy Weber here. A quick program note before we get started. Both Harper and Amy are passionate, and occasionally adult expletives slip from their mouths. We decided this time not to bleep them out. So if you're offended by strong language, this might not be the show to listen to. If, on the other hand, you're interested in deep conversation about important issues of the day, including AI, I think I would stay tuned because this one's a great one. Twit is next.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is Twit.
It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, episode 1040, recorded Sunday, July 13th, 2025. The $100,000 stapler. It's time for Twit This Week in Tech, the show where we cover the week's tech news. You're going to be very glad you're here today because we have two of my favorite panelists. Well, we always have my favorite people because we don't book my not favorite people, but I'm always pleased to welcome Harper Reed to our microphones.
Hello.
Technologist, entrepreneur, hacker at harper.blog and his company 2389.ai, which is not the line number of you're not expected to understand this in the Unix code. We know that now, unfortunately. It's not too late to change the name of the company, Harper. I'm just saying.
Well, we've been leaning in on the pi part. Like, this is our favorite digits of pi. And we're moving offices right now.
3.141582389. Oh, very nice.
Further down, yeah. And we're changing offices, and our unit number is F314. So we're just going to keep going and keep going. Yeah.
It's pi all the way down. Also here, as if that weren't enough, the wonderful Amy Webb from the Future Today Strategy Group, our favorite futurist. Hi, Amy.
Hey, Leo.
And hardcore bicyclist.
Yes, I did. I had a shorter ride this morning because we had some pretty bad storms. But yeah, I guess
what's your weekly mileage typically?
I've been traveling a lot for work, so it depends, but somewhere between 150 and 200.
Wow.
But to put that into perspective, the Tour de France guys are riding between 100 and 200 miles a day.
A day? Yeah.
Right now. But since I saw you last, I competed in Unbound, which is a
you mentioned you were going to do that.
Yeah, it's a great gravel race. It's the world's best gravel race, according to me, out in Kansas, and it was great.
You had a good time?
I had a great time.
Did you get all muddy?
We were dry this year.
Oh, good.
It was the north route this year, so it was hilly, dry. It was direct sun and 95 degrees with some pretty gnarly crosswinds, which it was just hot air blowing. So that was not fun.
How many flats?
I did not have any flats. I had enough equipment on me to service 5 different bikes if anybody else had problems.
Wow.
Just added to weight that I probably didn't need to carry, but yeah.
How many? It looks like a lot of people get involved in this. Maybe 80 or 90 or.
No. There's this. I think there were 4,000 people competing. But there's different tracks. So, one of the world's probably the most famous ultra endurance cyclist, Lachlan Morton, came in second. I watched him cross the line. The XL.
Wait a minute. If you watched him cross the line, that means you came in first.
Wow. Yeah, that's exactly Amy. Right. No, they had started the night before.
Oh, okay.
So there's the main event is the 200 mile, and there's a 100, a 50, a 25. So yeah, it's great.
What fun! Congratulations.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, thanks.
That's a big deal. All right, well that's enough for the nice stuff. Now we're going to talk about the news of the week.
Do we have to, Leo?
No, I wish we didn't. From The Atlantic, this kind of summarizes what is basically happening all over the world. Age verification requirements are kind of coming in Australia and in the UK and, yes, now in the US. The Supreme Court last week in the Free Speech Coalition versus Paxton, the attorney general in the state of Texas, upheld a Texas law requiring websites with sexually explicit material to verify the age of their users, which means everybody, not just kids, has to prove they are of age using government ID in most cases, although I guess there are some third-party technologies that might keep your ID out of the hands of Pornhub. I don't know. As the Atlantic points out, the case's true importance lies not on its effect on the adult entertainment industry, but it shifts America's willingness to regulate digital technology at all. You know, we've lived in the age of Section 230 and light hand regulation of the internet because it was a nascent technology. Clarence Thomas, in the majority opinion, said, nope, it's not nascent anymore. It's established. And we think age verification is okay, despite the, quote, incidental burden on adult speech. Thoughts? Nothing to say. Anybody? Come on, Amy. I know you have a thought or two.
First, and then, so my initial reaction to this was, I wonder how this shifts the business landscape, although I think that's kind of what I focus on. Because if you now have to age verify for Pornhub, I don't see a lot of people willingly doing that. And
Pornhub's already withdrawn from the states that require
it. We're just like, fine, anybody who does.
Right.
It seems like this is a huge win for OnlyFans. Because I don't think OnlyFans is going to be the same, is going to be subject to the same.
Why not?
Harder, because it'll be harder to prove. First of all, a lot of the content that you might consider to be totally explicit is behind a paywall anyways. So how would somebody verify? It's not out there for anybody to see. It's not the same thing as Pornhub. So my initial thought was it'll be easier for them. Like, this is going to be a good time for OnlyFans to build up its business because any freely available porn is going to be harder to access. But there'll also be, I would imagine, kind of sketch sites that aren't like Pornhub where they go, come and get us, right? I mean, imagine there'll be some of that too, right? Right. So that's the main thing.
And there'll be also sites that set up, I would, if I were an evil actor, that set this all up just to get the information.
That's right. So what this has me, interestingly enough, I'm always worried about monopolistic power and control and centralization of certain things and any government, including our own. And so this seems like perhaps the first reasonable use case for blockchain. So if there was a third party, it's like, of course, porn finally is the thing that makes it take off.
They kind of go together in some odd way.
It's the tip of the spear, so to speak.
But look, I initially thought about if there's going to be some kind of regulation going forward, which clearly now there can be, and certain states will want it, then it would be a good time for a third party to come in, either clear or some blockchain, something or another, or if Pornhub, that was the other thing I kept thinking, if Pornhub was really smart, they would make their own browser with a VPN built into the browser, and it would be like porn browser. That would allow you, so it's like a little bit of, but whatever. So like you just bypass anything that requires age or ID verification because it's got a built-in VPN. There's ways around and I'll stop as there's obviously lots of ways around this. You just VPN to a different place, but that's out of reach or confusing for a lot of people. So it just seems like, from my point of view, this law seems like it will have mostly negative knock-on effects for the very people that wrote the law, because it's going to open up innovation in all of these other ways.
Isn't that often what happens? Is it just channels all that energy?
And Clarence Thomas is like chief among them. Don't think about the next order impacts of the arcane and draconian laws that they attempt to create. So, and
look, if you go into a bookstore or a news shop and as a kid and try to buy a Playboy, the owner's going to say, "No, kid, get out of here." I mean, we have a standard, a normal standard, that we don't let kids see the adult content. And I think that that's
I think we had a standard.
Yeah, now it's probably not there anymore.
I don't think we really have that.
So maybe that's why this is happening, because kids do, in fact, thanks to the internet, have all sorts of access. I don't have any problem with in your mind saying, well, let's figure out a way around this. Problem is, it's not just going to be adult content. It's going to be LGBTQ content. It's going to be political speech that some people don't like. Utah has a minor protection in social media act. It's going to keep kids off social media. California has the so-called age-appropriate design code, which is so poorly written that it could apply to anything. There's COSA. Harper, what do you think?
I mean, I think Amy said it well. I don't know if you've ever interacted with young people, but they're pretty good at getting around rules. They're really good at getting around things, as well as they don't have any experience to deal with scams and to deal with bad actors, et cetera. And so I think the big worry that I would have is that this is just going to create more opportunities for people to prey on youth and the people who theoretically this is trying to protect. The other thing is back when NFTs were relevant, there were a lot of people that were trying to put KYC information on chain, so that if you KYC'd one place, you wouldn't necessarily have to KYC at all these other subsequent places that were related or partnered or what have you. Obviously, that is not how fintech works, and so it kind of died on the vine in some regards. But I do think there is opportunities to do verifiable credentials and all sorts of fun, open sourcey sort of web standard ways to solve some of these problems. Of course, none of this legislation is taking that into consideration. And so it's just going to be the worst of any imagination on this stuff, which is always a bummer.
Yeah, I think we're hitting this inflection point across multiple technologies and forums for communication where we've had this unbridled, totally open, restrict nothing approach for a really long time. And I think that worked, except that society also changed. And, if I think back to, if you think back now to Janet Jackson and the Super Bowl and the stupid.
Oh, God, people were so shocked.
And they lost their minds.
Yeah.
And where we are.
I think
now,
still the most rewound moment on TiVo of all time.
Oh my gosh.
Well, TiVo shortly died after that.
Yeah, well, there's no chance for anything to compete now.
Yeah. But I think this is kind of the problem when you go totally free enterprise, totally, like the market will figure it out, open innovation or nothing. The problem is that that works on paper and that works in math, but that doesn't work in practice because there's a lot of other variables when you involve people, especially young people who are learning how to be human like adults. So I think we're going to see a lot of these inflection points. And unfortunately, the way that our government works, we don't really have mechanisms in place that are more flexible. That
there's not a lot of nuance in this stuff.
No, it's binary, and then politics has become really binary. So I think we're just going to live through a really challenging period as we try to straighten everything out.
That's what this Atlantic piece written by Alan Z. Rosenstein, who was a senior editor at Lawfare and a professor of law at University of Minnesota Law School, says. He says the results of the 30-year experiment with a hands-off approach on the internet are in. Much of society, including the Supreme Court, is recoiling from the consequences. The fear of stifling a new technology has been replaced by the dread of the harms that technology left unregulated can cause. So is that a good thing? I mean, maybe we were a little too laissez-faire. I personally prefer the laissez-faire, but that's kind of my attitude. You have kids. You have a kid, Amy.
Well, I have a kid. Now, to be fair, my kid is like a really lovely but weird kid compared to other kids. So she's a 15-year-old ready to jet off to MIT and could care. Doesn't use TikTok or anything else. But
good for her. Yeah.
But look, it's a challenging time, and I don't study this, so this is all just anecdotal. There's ample sources of reputable data out there. When I was 15, there was the back of the video store,
right,
where that was the adult section.
Through the beaded curtain. Yeah.
Right. It was that. There were dirty magazines, and I'm sure people had
Cinemax.
Oh, that's right.
Skinamax,
Yeah,
as
I
we
forgot
call
about
it.
that. But we didn't have cable, so.
My favorite, though, was the friend who had the satellite dishes.
Ooh.
And you would go over there and you would like try and see between the squiggly lines because they didn't quite have the decoder.
That's right.
You'd see this like weird.
That's right. But you could kind of see body parts. Maybe if you looked real closely. Let me just look real closely. But I think what's going on in there? I don't know.
But I don't want to sound like a prude or anything because I'm not. But here's my take on this is you've got readily accessible content. You don't have to have a friend with a satellite or like jerry-rig your cable box or anything. So you can have it on your phone in private.
And the content is
that was
dramatically more extreme than it used to be.
That's what I was going to say. Right. So the content is significantly more extreme and you're dealing with kids whose frontal lobes aren't quite like working yet. And I just think it sets, there was actually, do you guys watch Big Mouth? It's a cartoon on
I heard it's great.
network. It is, it's uneven. The first season was very good. The current and last season addresses like free and unfettered content for everybody without regulation or anything at all, like no friction content. And the kids are the teenagers on the show really, I don't want to spoil it for anybody, but it's a really good explanation of why like maybe we should come up with something. But I don't know, Harper, I'm kind of interested because you've been much closer to this than obviously I have. Like, is there a way to regulate that doesn't stifle speech? I mean, that's the tricky part
or
here, right?
impair privacy.
I don't think that. I don't know. I've been thinking about this a lot for years, really, just because of the KYC thing and having built my career on like fintech in many ways. There's always that friction point where you're like, man, I don't want to ask anyone for this information, and so how do you do this without that? And I don't know. I think I think my main worry is kind of what Leo was saying, which it's like, it's one thing and we can kind of all agree maybe that I say maybe, but I'm pretty sure we all do that, like, children should not have access to pornography, or if they do, they should have it in some sort of context, which is very well observed, et cetera, by people they trust, et cetera. So like, okay, but then the problem is it's not just going to be used for that. And I think that's where the technology is not necessarily the problem. Right, we can have the best technology that's open and like privacy preserving and all of these things, and still it could be used to stifle free speech. I don't think privacy preserving technology is, we could get Signal to design it and it still could be used by parties to say, oh, you have to put all, LGBTQ plus content behind it, or you have to put anything that is politically,
I could totally see that, by the way. I could see that being a next step, that anything in some of these states that are LGBTQ needs to have age verification. I could see that. Yeah.
Well, get ready. Australia is quietly rolling age checks for search engines like Google, which we all use.
This was one of the funny things I always wondered about, because I don't know if any of y'all have ever tried to make an app and put it in the App Store, but there's a lot of draconian rules that Apple puts onto their apps. And one of them was like, if you have any kind of link out or inside of your app to like unfettered internet, they would make you raise the age requirement of that app, because theoretically it could suddenly get internet on it. And I just always wondered how, this is the same thing with like pirated
But
software.
Safari, by the way, and Safari lets you get anything,
of course,
at any time. So
but like, I think about this a lot, where people are like, we have to stop all the torrent search engines. And it's like, bro, Google is a pretty good torrent search engine.
Right.
I think we have
starting at the end of the year in Australia, Google and Microsoft will have to use some form in Australia of age assurance technology on users when they sign in or face fines of almost $50 million per breach.
So question, you can use a browser without signing in. So
yeah.
What am I missing here?
Does it mean that Google will then say you have to sign in to use Google search so that we can check your age?
The issue that I have with this is it's not necessarily about age, it's about identity, right? Like it's one, like if you just click a little button that says I'm above 18, a la like tobacco sites or alcohol
or whiskey sites,
whiskey sites, that's one thing. But my guess is that the legislation and then also the search engines probably hate this and don't hate it at the same time, because then they can start owning more of the identity. of that person, and they can start owning that. But
it's good for them. Hey, we have no choice. Australia's making us do it.
So who's on the other side of this? So they scan your face and estimate how old you are based on your. So for somebody like me, I'd be in serious trouble because I look like so young 18. For my age. But
you still get carded, Amy.
I do, Leo. I get carded all the time when I order all the alcohol that I drink. But what? It's like, so who's? Damn, I hate that I am saying this out loud, but I think if all of these things actually start causing new points of friction, this is the moment for blockchain, is it not?
Or something. How would blockchain be implemented to make this work?
I guess because I'm thinking I'm on
the blockchain, I have some sort of entry on the universal ledger, and you can go check the blockchain and see how old I am.
I'm thinking about cloaking digital identity, so you're just a no PII but verified number, so that you know what I mean.
Who would administer
a credit
that?
Card or like the Apple Pay or anything?
You'd still have to have some point of entry that is not blockchain. Well, like Apple or Google or somebody that would have to then.
It's just a different type of key, right? So a key,
Yeah, but somebody's got to establish the key. Somebody has to say, right. Okay, this I have verified this person is 18.
You don't need blockchain to do this. You have like all sorts of privacy preserving technologies. Like, I mean, if you think of like Apple is rolling out state IDs on the phone, like that is basically a picture and then that ID you're describing. I think there's lots of ways to do this without rolling out blockchain. I do think that there are aspects of blockchain and people that have been working in that space that have been talking about putting ID on there for years and years and years and years. It is nice that it's cryptographic, but verified credentials, the web standard is pretty good at this.
It exists.
Apple has done a lot with this stuff.
Sorry, I was just clicking a couple steps forward, and when you have all of these moments of disruption, their money follows, and I was just immediately going to what is the new ecosystem?
So what is Mark Andreessen going to do is what you're asking.
Well, he's going to complain in a group chat about colleges or universities or something. I don't know.
So just to pile on, Bluesky is now rolling out age verification in the UK because the UK's Online Safety Act requires platforms with adult content. And yes, even social media has adult content to have age verification.
I think it is lovely. I think it's lovely that Bluesky thinks that people are using it. Young people are using Bluesky. I think Bluesky's big public announcement is taking a page out of OpenAI's. Let's make the announcement first, and then everybody will follow.
Right.
Yeah.
They're going to use something called Kids Web Services. KWS, a parent verification platform, which I think in a way, I like the idea of the parent deciding what's appropriate for their kid. I mean, that's the main problem I have with all of this is who is government to say whether a child is adult enough to experience this? Shouldn't the parent be responsible for that? I know there are lots of loopholes.
But yeah, and here's the thing, and because I get irritated every time I hear this argument that it should be the parents. I had to go to a mandatory phone safety class last year, or start of 7th grade, maybe. Every parent had to sit through. It was mandatory. Every parent had to sit through it. And it was 4 high school students and their parents talking about how damaging the phones have been, and they wish they wouldn't have started the phones. And my husband and I are sitting there with our couple of other friends, like, we shouldn't have to be here. Our kids don't have phones.
Right.
Like, you know how easy it is to make sure your kids don't have these problems? You don't give them a phone. Or if
your 16-year-old still doesn't have a cell phone?
We finally got her a phone because now she's going to be starting driving and stuff. But there's no social media on it. And
but also, this is the plot point of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, right? Like, why is your friend, your parent, that says, "Oh yeah, I confirm that Harper is of age. I am Harper's dad, also Harper." Like, I feel like this is the thing. This is
so. Does that mean government should be doing it?
No. I think this is fine. I think we should enact all this stuff. It's just going to make a whole generation of hackers.
Right.
Which I'm happy with. It's going to be people who are good at bending these rules. I like young people and like porn or alt content or whatever is like water down a hill.
Right.
They're just going to get to the end. Like it doesn't, and that might not be their thing. They might find something else that they like, but they're going to check it out. And you can put all these things in front of them and they're going to figure it out. I mean, like you can share a password. There's all sorts of ways to do this. I mean, it was happening when I was in middle school.
I'm old enough to remember the days where every parent was trying to install these web blockers and there were many sites that told the kids how to get around it. It was, and the thing is, one person figures out how to get around it. It spreads like wildfire through the middle school, and then it goes out onto the internet. There's just no way to stop it.
So here's a question. Yeah. So is somebody going to put instructions in ChatGPT to block? So just to further your point, Harper. So fine. All these regulations come down, there are all these restrictions. Does that mean that somebody's going to have to change the model or the output or retrain all of these AI systems where they might go next to just teach me how to?
I mean, they already do that, right? There's already safety work on that. If you read Anthropic's safety research, they talk a lot about this kind of thing. Obviously not this thing specifically, but they even talk about the bio risk and all these other things, which are just orders of magnitude different. It's just like you're pivoting, focusing on a different thing. And they do a lot of work to protect it. And I'm sure that if we said, we're banning this word, then they would probably enable the same amount of work that they're doing to ban Molotov cocktails or hot wiring a car. And then you can use the same tricks that you can to get it to talk about hot wiring a car, to get it to talk about being gay or whatever, other puritanical thing we want to ban in the United States. So I think that there's a lot of, what I think is going to happen, though, which I think is going to be interesting, I really believe that this is how you create hackers, because every story I have of a friend who is very good at computers starts with something like, my parents were mad at me and grounded me and took away my keyboard. And so I stole a credit card in the AOL chat room, bought a new keyboard, plugged the new keyboard in, and was back to hacking. Oh, great. This is how you create people who are very good at getting around things.
A new generation of hackers is coming.
Well, the difference is when we were doing this in the 90s, no one knew about, the cops would just be like, you did what? And you'd be like, yeah, I got to go to school. Okay, cool. Now they're going to put you in jail and probably some camp somewhere. And so I feel like it's a little different. It's I think that there's some ramifications, and especially the ramifications are going to be uneven based on, who you are, your ethnicity, et cetera. And so I think that it is going to be, it's what they say, justice is going to be, unevenly distributed throughout the U.S. with these rules and these laws throughout the world.
It already
is.
This is
going to affect people who are at risk anyway, instead of affect the people who, the lawmakers are thinking about.
But there'll be a lot of white kids who know how to hack.
There will. I think there's going to be a lot of kids who know how to hack. The white kids are going to be talking about it. They're
going to get away with it. I love, though, about both of you. We've been talking about this for a while as it's been coming. And I'm focused on the age identification and the privacy issues and, the enforceability of all this. You guys are already and I love this about you, especially, thinking about 3 steps ahead, okay, so this is going to create a nation of hackers. And what is the business opportunities here? You guys are you've already accepted it. And it's okay, so what do we do now? I guess, Amy, when you work with your clients, that's kind of what you say to them is, look, this is what's happening. So here's what it's going to mean. And here's how you adjust.
Yeah, I guess I'm
you're a realist.
I'm very pragmatic.
Yeah.
So if this is the situation, then my job is to say, where is the world going? Where will value be created? Or where is there absolute destruction ahead? And then what do we do about it?
Instead of wringing your hands and, oh dear, you just say, well, how do we? I look at somebody like Tim Cook and I think about all of the tidal forces impacting him, from the tariffs to China.
Lawsuits.
Kind of, it's in everything, and this guy has to somehow weave very carefully his way through all this, and he continues to do so. But I guess that's the job of a CEO in interesting times.
Yes, definitely. So let me put it this way: CEO tenure is down. It's in decline.
Really?
More so than any other time before.
Because it's such a stressful time to be a CEO.
No, I think it's partially because a lot of CEOs stuck along for a very long time and waited to retire. There were different crises that, the board said, just stay another day, stay another X amount of time. So now you've got this new crop of people, and especially from companies that promoted from within. It's their first time at bat as CEO, but they're like 55, 60, older than that. And they're just not going to stick around for 10 years, or they just can't, because it's tough at that point. So it's just shrunk everybody's time horizons pretty significantly. And then in government, we defunded the agencies that would have done the long-term planning. They don't exist anymore. And the people who would have done the planning. So
and I would presume that the stock market's focused on quarterly results also helps that trend, because you only get a few quarters before
investors are like the worst.
Yeah, they don't have much patience.
Investors create totally unnecessary tension, and a lot of the valuation. And look, NVIDIA's having a great year, and they just crossed a threshold of $4 trillion. So it's like the first time in history. It also signals a sea change. It was blue chip companies that made stuff, and then financialization companies, and then it was computer companies, and now it's NVIDIA, which signals a different kind of,
What kind of company is NVIDIA? What category do we put this in?
Well, right now it's robotics, if you listen to Jensen talk. I just think it's really tough. And so all of this stuff that's now happening in the judicial realm and the FCC and like all of these things that are happening I think everybody's just got this constant state of, I would call it FOMA, the fear of missing anything. It's not FOMO anymore. And so it's just people just make weird decisions when they're under duress. And I think everybody feels like they're under duress.
Are these unusual times? Somebody in our YouTube chat says, it's always like this.
It is not always like this.
Not always like this.
No.
Trust me, I've been around. I'm older than all of you.
I've had my job changed like 100 times, and I keep trying to do the same job, and it keeps changing. And I feel like that wasn't the case for any one of my relatives.
AI has really accelerated this in interesting ways. We're going to talk about AI in just a little bit. Great panel. I love having you two on. Harper Reed, technologist, entrepreneur, hacker. It's great to have you. He's working in AI right now at 238 AI, and he has got everything wired in there. He's got agents. We were talking before the show. I'm jealous. I like this. You got people listening at all times. When I say people, I mean AI people.
I did have to put a sticker on the door that says, when you enter, just FYI, there's a lot of listening happening. And
we're recording
if you have an issue, here's our privacy policy. And if you have an issue, please just send me a note.
Well, that's an example of how fast this has happened, because in the last 10 years, and I feel bad for kids growing up, suddenly everything's on camera. There's nothing that's not being recorded at all times. That's already over. Now everything's on AI. There's nothing that's not being analyzed, dissected, and summarized into bullet points at all times. It's crazy. We are being observed by our own agents. Also, wonderful to have Amy Webb here, futurist. She thinks about long-term strategy at Future Today Strategy Group. And they're both going to Japan. When are you going to both be in Kyoto?
Well, I'm coming in early, and I think I'm going to be there a week before.
Same.
Yeah.
This is for the Japan leadership. What is this?
So let me plug, if I may,
please,
a wonderful program called the United States Japan Leadership Program, which brings together young-ish American professionals in government, in business, in the arts, in technology and science, and Japanese professionals for the purpose of fostering dialogue and stuff going forward. So there's 1 week that spent in the United States with experiences and dialogues and stuff, and one in Japan. And when you're done with both and it happens in consecutive years, and then you become a lifetime fellow, which Harper and I are now. And I cannot say enough about it. So you don't have to be fluent in Japanese, or you have to be interested in Japan, but you don't have to be a Japanese speaker or have lived there or anything. I highly, highly, highly recommend that you apply if you are interested in Asia and Japan and the future. And I don't know, Harper, you want to say anything else?
I mean, it's a very good example of a very well executed soft diplomacy program that is just about partnership and friendship and all that stuff. The thing that I'm misunderstood about it is how much impact it would have on my life going forward, which I thought, like many programs, I'm sure, Amy, you've been involved with many programs that kind of act like it's the same. Mm-hmm. And then the moment you're done with it, they disappear, you disappear. And then next thing you know, you're like, you forget about it. 5 years later, you meet someone in an airport and you're like, oh, great, remember that? And that's basically the entire interaction. This is like there's a daily thread going on. You see people, get married, you see people change careers, you see people, everything from life to death to everything. And it's this really, really beautiful community. And it's kind of builds itself, but I highly recommend taking a look at it and really.
What age is this for?
Well, the cutoff is 40.
Okay, so you don't have to be that young.
Mid-career.
Mid-career.
Okay.
Yeah. But what's kind of cool is the program, I think, started about 20 some years ago, but there are people now so like my daughter who's 15 has friends in Japan because of the program. So while Harper and I are doing our fellows thing, Petra's going to be out roaming around Kyoto by herself with her friends. Nice. And she'll have 2 free days and screw around and they're going to go to the Nintendo Museum and the Manga Museum and have, So
you have prepared your child for the future. I think that's
I have
amazing.
Prepared my child for a very narrow type of future where she's going to have to work hard to find other nerds like her. But she's a good kid.
We exist. We're here.
She just got her. Sorry, I was a proud mother moment. She just got her eagle.
She's an Eagle Scout at 16?
At 15.
15?
Yeah, and she got
Holy
it just
cow.
after turning 15. So she's
She must be one of the youngest.
One of the youngest, and she also won a National Science Award for doing all of this original science research. So she's Scouts has a horrific history. So I don't want to gloss over any of the.
It's not Boy Scouts anymore. It's
Scouting America, and I gotta say, our particular we have an all girls but also all inclusive troop.
Nice.
And it has been unbelievably great for her and for the other kids in it. It's great. So, all right.
You've always impressed me as a mom, and your daughter is very lucky. I think that's fantastic. Congratulate her. That's amazing achievement. Wow. And if you're interested in the U.S.-Japan Foundation, it's us-jf.org. If you want to apply or just find out more, us-jf.org.
And then you can come and hang out with Harper and me in either Japan or Seattle.
It's a lot of fun.
Kyoto's incredible. I just love Kyoto.
It's hot. It's going to be hot. Like I don't understand. I don't think people understand how hot Japan
they don't.
Get.
They have a whole different, the word for the kind of hot we are about to encounter. It's called mushiatsui. There's a whole individual word just to explain that type of hot, which is humid and horrible and wet.
It's horrible.
Yeah. Well, we could thank Harry S. Truman for not nuking Kyoto back during World War II because I think he honeymooned there or something and decided not to drop the bomb because he honeymooned there. Okay, we're going to take a little break, and this is a special message from our sponsor going out to all of you kids. This Week in Tech brought to you this week by ExpressVPN. Yes, you might want to get to know it. A few decades ago, private citizens used to be largely private. And what's changed? Well, of course, the internet. Think about everything you have browsed, searched for, watched, or tweeted. Now imagine all that data being crawled, collected, and aggregated by data brokers and government into a permanent public record. Your record, having your private life exposed for others to see, was once something only celebrities worried about. But in an era where everyone is online, everyone is a public figure. To keep my data private when I go online, I turn to ExpressVPN. In fact, when I travel, it's a great boon because I can still catch the football game or the F1 race. Why everyone needs ExpressVPN? One of the easiest ways for data brokers to track you is through your device's unique IP address, which also reveals information about your location. With ExpressVPN, it's not your IP address. Your IP address is hidden. You've got a address assigned by ExpressVPN. That makes it much more difficult for data brokers to monitor, track, and monetize your private online activity. You've got the same IP address as other people. It's not yours. Why ExpressVPN is the best VPN? I love ExpressVPN. It's the only one I use. They just had a third-party audit that said, in fact, they do not log. They go the extra mile not to log. They run this trusted server technology, runs only in RAM as sandbox, can't write to the drive, disappears when you disconnect. And to make it even better, every day they wipe the entire drive. They reboot their custom-designed Debian machines to start fresh. There is nothing on the servers to identify you. And when you use ExpressVPN, it encrypts 100% of your network traffic, so your data isn't visible from hackers, even on public Wi-Fi, in the same coffee shop, hotel, airport. ExpressVPN works everywhere you work, your phone, your laptop, your tablet. You can even run it on, I often do, on the router, so the whole house is protected. You tap one button, you turn it on, and you are private. You are protected. It's that easy. Protect your online privacy today by visiting expressvpn.com/twit. That's expressvpn.com/twit. And you can get an extra 4 months free when you buy a 2-year package. expressvpn.com/twit. They picked a good time for this ad. expressvpn.com/twit. Probably will be a good time to be in a VPN company right now. Let's see. Moving on. This is a good one. I'm very curious what you all think of this. The House has announced its crypto week. Yay! Bitcoin at a record high, over $120,000. Trump is considered by many the first crypto president. The Genius Act has been passed by the Senate. Now it's going to the House. This will make possible stablecoin, which is how dollars... I don't understand it myself.
I love stablecoins. I think they're so cool.
Explain stablecoin to me then, Harper, please.
Okay. It's a digital representation of a dollar. It's pegged, so to speak, so they can peg it to a yen or to a US
Unlike
dollar or
Bitcoin,
whatever. It
doesn't fluctuate
right.
crazy.
So it's trying to remove some of the chaos from it, but also if you're all on chain, so to speak, and you're buying Bitcoin or you're buying Ethereum or any of these things, you can't buy it with your paper money over here or your money that sits in a JP Morgan or whatever it sits in. You have to actually buy it with something that's on that chain. And so you want something that is a good representation of the money of your fiat currency, so to speak.
The other issue besides volatility with Ether and Bitcoin is the gas fees, the cost of creating a transaction,
and
both in time and money.
So I think that's largely mitigated by some of the other chains that they've created.
So stablecoin doesn't have that problem?
Well, it depends on where you're doing it. Like if you're doing it on the Ethereum chain, you certainly can rack up some charges just using stablecoins. But what I think is really interesting about stablecoins, and I am not a tax accountant, so don't trust me on this, but it seems that because it's not going up and down, you don't gain any money by trading in it.
So you don't have speculation.
So you don't have speculation. Your taxable income is very, very, very low. All of these things are happening there. But what's neat about it is it's a good way. It's like, it feels a little bit like future money, because if I send Amy $10, she just kind of gets $10. It's like you can build Venmo, you can build all these things without having to do bank partnerships and all this other stuff.
Well, that's the other thing I've been told that is good about stablecoin is you don't have the VIG that MasterCard and Visa and banks charge for these transactions.
Exactly. Well, now where it's complicated though is someone's making money on it, because typically how you build and design these things is you create a token and then you back it theoretically with treasury bonds and all this other stuff to say this is one for one. So when you put $1 into the system, we buy something that, makes us money to support this. And so you're making, 5% off of billions and trillions of dollars at Tether or Circle or what have you. Super smart business. But I don't think that it's a good idea to have some private, theoretically venture-backed business controlling the fiat electronic digital currency of the United States. So, for example, but smoke if you got them, I suppose. But I certainly have a small number of USDC. It's almost my only crypto on my Coinbase debit card that I use. It's the card I give my kid when he runs around and does weird stuff. Like he's at an arcade. It's like, yeah, go use this one. It's all fantasy money. But it's all USDC, which is a stablecoin. But I love stablecoins.
But there is not one.
So cool.
Even if the Genius Bill passes in Congress, there isn't one stablecoin. There's many.
Every country has a seat. So there are these central bank CBDC, central bank.
We may not get that because there are 3 bills that Congress is considering, one of which would prevent the Fed from ever creating a digital version of U.S. currency or a central bank currency.
This is what I like about the United States is that we're not very good at thinking. That's one of my favorite parts about this. Like, not to talk about our Japan fellowship much, but one of our fellow fellows there was part of writing the Japanese stablecoin stuff, and it's just so well thought out. And like watching them, and the reason why it's thought out is because for whatever reason they're very iterative. They did one in like 2018. They were like, great. And then a couple of years later, they're like, well, let's fix it. And they did it again and again and again. And it's just like last year, they released another one. And the US is just like, here's 5 different versions that are all cancel each other out. We're just going to pass them all.
And then reverse it when the next administration.
And then reverse it hard. When the next administration.
I think that does hurt the United States is that to the outside world, we look very ephemeral. Like every 4 years, it's different.
It's what it really looks like is we have no plan, and that's because we don't have a plan.
No, we don't have a plan.
I was in Davos in 2018, I think, 2018 and 19 at the World Economic Forum. Central bank digital currencies was a big topic, and everybody was trying to hash this out and think about it. And so it's not like all of this is happening overnight. Actually, if you guys are people,
in fact, we're laggards. Is that what you're saying to this? I mean, this process.
Yeah. I mean, we're laggards in getting our shit together. But there are lots of really smart people who think about this. So there's a researcher at MIT named Neha Narula, who's brilliant, who is great, and she heads the Digital Currency Initiative. There's a lot of really smart people out there who are consistently trying to advise, here's what you do, but nobody's, picking up what they're putting down, or at least they're not holding on to it. So
in theory, at least, stablecoin would be a good thing. Banks could start moving, markets could start moving money in stablecoin instead of cash for settlements to be faster, costs to be lower.
Yeah, and there's all sorts of really neat kind of impacts in that if you're trying to send money back home to some other country, so to speak, you can send it magically over the internet without having to pay someone else to facilitate that. And so it really has some big options. When one of my last companies, we built a stablecoin debit card specifically because we were thinking that crypto wasn't real until you can pay for rent or childcare, et cetera. And stablecoin allows you to do this because if you're working for crypto, so to speak, then you're being paid in magic beans if you can't buy food with it. And a lot of people, I think, are excluded from that world because they're just like, yeah, I got to pay for childcare. Like, I can't do this. And so, a good legislation around this, what it will do is it may bolster crypto in general, but what it will do is it'll allow the banks to actually work within these things within a framework that allows them to not get in trouble with the future.
I think
because there's regulation around it.
There's actual regulation and legislation.
Yeah. This stuff is pretty hard to understand, to be quite frank. And so sometimes what I've noticed is that on the non-fintech side of things, there's a lot of conflating just like Ethereum or Bitcoin with stablecoin. And
they're not the same.
Well,
not always.
I mean, Harper already said it earlier. There's less volatility. The idea is you reduce the volatility. It's not day trading. You're reducing volatility.
Haven't there though been some pretty well-known stablecoin collapses? And I mean,
they had a different name for them, but most of those were algorithmic, meaning that they had some algorithm that was helping them peg. Instead of saying I'm pegged at USD, they were pegged at some equation. And most of those all have gone up in flames. And I happily have forgotten all of that world. But I truly think stablecoins are an opportunity for us to build some just really neat things that give that increase financial access, etc. I also think it's a great way for rich people to hide wealth if they want.
Oh, just what we need.
We'll see. Come on,
So what you're saying is we no longer need the Canary Islands. We've got stablecoin.
You can just put all your money in some stable coins, and then magically transfer it to your phone, and then magically transfer it to someone else's phone, and then, throw your phone in the ocean and then lose all your money.
Okay. Is there a leader in stablecoin? Is it USDC? Is that your preference?
So Circle, which I have a great factoid about Circle, Jeremy, the founder of Circle, was the inventor of cold fusion.
What?
Yeah. Who knew that?
Why didn't you tell everybody else? We could use that right about now.
No, the web programming language.
Oh, that. Not the cold fusion.
No.
I used to use cold fusion. That was cool. Yeah.
I like that he made cold fusion and didn't make it, and then now makes stablecoins. But then the other one is Tether, and Tether is worth researching because it's quite a roller coaster.
Tether? Tether. That's the one you like, is Tether.
No, I prefer USDC because I find it to be a little less sketchy.
Well, this is part of the problem, is there isn't going to be a federal digital currency because we want market.
There isn't going to be. Isn't there a Trump coin that's getting rolled out?
Oh, a $sign Trump. Yay.
Feels pretty federal to me.
Well, obviously, what's his name thinks so. He just bought another $100 million of it, son. It's got to be a good investment. This guy's all in on Trump. He's got $200 million in Trump.
So much money in Trump.
You get to meet the president, though, and have a fine rubber chicken dinner with him.
I feel like that's not my interest. I don't think I'm the target audience there.
Okay. So good. I didn't realize this. Stablecoin good, and it's good we're going to do Crypto Week this week. That's going to everybody should watch with great interest.
Go that far. I personally think stablecoins have an opportunity to really help further financial security for a lot of people if they're done with some thoughts in mind. I don't have a lot of confidence that our current batch of legislators are thinking just to stop. So I'm pretty concerned about that. I also know that one of the things that I think you said, Leo, is this stuff's complicated. It's hard to think through. I guess Amy said that as well. It's this really a lot of for instance, here's an example, how does money transmission work? How does that work? Which is a whole thing. There's licensing.
Well, we are really digital already. I mean, cash is not king any longer, right? I mean, everything.
But in the U.S., we are so far behind when it comes to open banking, et cetera. We are the least progressive banking country in the world.
Well, probably because same thing happened with cell phones, because we invented it, so we have all this legacy infrastructure that we're reluctant to get rid of.
I don't think we're reluctant to get rid of. I think we're protecting it because of power.
Yeah, Visa and MasterCard have a lot of money.
One of the things that's interesting about this is that this is a way to disrupt that. And Visa and MasterCard invested a tremendous amount of money, acquisitions, resources, et cetera, trying to support this stuff. Most of the support is done outside the U.S. because the U.S. just doesn't know how to handle it.
Right.
But I think it.
We don't even have chip and pin.
No, we don't. It's so funny that. Do you remember traveling?
I still give my credit card to the Waitron.
I know. And I never. Anyone from Europe is like, "The fuck are you doing? What is wrong with you?"
They just took your credit card, dude.
Yeah.
They're bringing it. Where'd they go with it?
I always hope that they're swiping it. That's my dream. I hope
they're swiping it, and there's not a skimmer installed in the thing they're swiping it in.
No, that's what I mean. I want to be caught up in some crime syndicate
you want to be?
Someone at a restaurant is back there being like,
oh, you don't mean swiping it like running it through. You mean they're stealing it?
Yeah, they're skimming it. I just love the
Harper, let me tell you, you truly do not want to.
No, I don't.
As somebody who,
has this happened to you, Amy?
It's less glamorous than you may be imagining.
Oh no!
Identity theft. It's not everything it's cracked up to be. Is that what you're saying?
Yes,
it's very common here in my little town in Northern California for skimmers to be discovered in gas station pumps. All the time. It's a very easy thing to pop one in, come back in a couple of days. You got a bunch of credit card numbers.
You know how you don't get caught up in that. You don't put gas in a car. You drive electric.
You and I drive electric. I know.
Yes.
I fill up at home.
Or you take public transit.
We have the same car now.
Do we? You have an
Yeah.
i5?
Yeah.
Oh, nice. Do you like it?
I love it.
I want an i5.
I'm trying to decide. My lease runs out in a year and a half. I'm trying to
So
decide
does mine.
if I should keep it or maybe the next thing will be there by then.
So
Probably.
Brian, quick side quest. There's a lucid gravity that Brian had his
I
eyes
love
on,
that.
and he's for
So
like
expensive.
3 years been talking to people. So
I hope he's been
finally,
saving for those 3 years.
There is no car. So he has now finally gotten a hold of somebody there, and he's like, all right, 6 months from now, I'm ready to get this car. And they were like, no, that's not going to happen. You can't. There is no, I think it's like not happening for them.
The gravity?
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, but any Lucid would be nice.
Yeah. I don't know. I think the V1 of like version 1 of a lot of these cars, they're so glitchy.
Well, after owning a Tesla, I decided I want to buy a car from a company that manufactures cars.
Isn't that a funny thing? We've got a Volvo after our Tesla. We were like, oh, look, handles. This is incredible. You can hold on.
My car guy, Samable Samad, calls them metal benders. You want to buy a car from a metal bender. You don't.
Yeah.
Because basically, the Tesla is a golf cart with a computer in it, is what it is. And the computer. By the way, speaking of which, good news, Tesla owners, you're going to get Grok.
I'm excited about that. I love this. I hate talking to Google and its lack of ability in my car. Like when you're just like, hey, Google, take me to wherever. And it's like searching for tacos. And you're like, I know, I'm home. I want to go home. I do want
calling
tacos.
Mom.
Yeah, calling mom. And it's like, whatever. And I really want a smart, somewhat unreliable AI assistant in my car. I promise you, I want all of the bad and all of the good.
You won't feel bad when it goes full MechaHitler?
Yeah, if I get into a Tesla, is the Tesla going to have a little chit chat with me about my ethnicity?
There's genocide in South Africa right
that
now.
I can drive you involving it's a little campsite just for people like you.
I want to take a little break. When we come back, we could talk about Grok. We could talk about what happened with Grok.
That was a wild.
It was a wild ride.
And yet entirely predictable.
Oh,
100%.
Microsoft learned this years ago when they created a bot that was trained on Twitter.
Twice because it happened, they yanked it offline and then fixed and re-released it, and the same damn thing happened again.
Within 24 hours.
Yeah.
It went racist because Twitter. Yeah. And Twitter's not Twitter anymore. It's X.
It sounds like
Twitter anymore.
All right, we'll talk about that in just a bit. Great panel. I love having... if I could just, do all the shows with you guys, but you've got real lives and real things you're doing. But anyway, it's wonderful to have you on. I feel very fortunate when we get Harper Reed and Amy Webb together, and I know you feel the same way. Thank you for being here. Special thanks to all our Club Twit members who make this show possible. We appreciate you. Our show today brought to you by NetSuite. We appreciate our fine sponsors as well. NetSuite. It's an interesting, I think if you've been listening, I think Amy would concur, an interesting time for business. Tariffs, trade policies are, dynamic. Supply chains are squeezed and cash flow is tighter than ever. If your business can't adapt in real time, you are in a world of hurt. You need total visibility from global shipments to tariff impacts to real-time cash flow. And that's NetSuite by Oracle, your AI-powered business management suite. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite is the #1 cloud ERP for many reasons. It brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all into one suite. You've got one source of truth giving you the visibility and control you need to make quick decisions with real-time forecasting. Suddenly, you're peering into the future with actionable data. And with AI embedded throughout, you can automate a lot of those everyday tasks, letting your team stay strategic. NetSuite helps you know what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. It's one system, full control. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in the 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/twit. That's netsuite.com/twit. We thank them so much for their support of This Week in Tech. Elon Musk said, I'm going to update Grok. Grok, the new Grok model came out on Wednesday. Grok 4, all new version. Elon, look, he's spent a lot of money, bought a lot of NVIDIA H100 cards. After Meta, I think XAI is the number 2 owner of NVIDIA cards. Elon billed it as the smartest AI in the world. In their own tests, XAI says Grok 4 appears to match or beat competing models from OpenAI and Anthropic on advanced science and math problems. And by the way, I pay $20 a month. Actually, I don't. Oh, I'm sorry. Did I say I pay for it? No, I'm an involuntary blue check on Twitter, so I get it for free.
You're an involuntary blue check?
Yeah.
That's incredible.
So I actually bought, I should show you this. When Elon bought Twitter, I was a normal blue check, a verified user. Same. So I ordered this plaque. It says, Twitter? In honor of Leo Laporte, who had a verified Twitter account before they were available for purchase, November 2022.
Oh, I want one of those.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a little dusty. Dusted it off. And then, so I labored in obscurity for some years after that without a blue check. Then one day I woke up to say, oh, look, without giving him any money, Elon has given me a blue check.
Well, you're not notable. You're verified.
I'm verified. Cory Doctorow changed his handle at that point to say involuntary blue check. I don't use X, so I don't really care. But I was happy to see that I get the benefits of that, including access to Grok, which is nice because I pay for every other AI.
Yeah, same.
Do you have any of the $200 Pro accounts, Harper? I bet you do.
I have the OpenAI one, and I have the Anthropic one, and I don't have the Grok one.
Do you find it beneficial to have the extra?
So on the OpenAI one, the O3 Pro or the O1 Pro prior to that, I find very good from a reasoning standpoint.
I like O3. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's very, very good. I've heard a lot of very good things about the new Grok model. I typically don't really use Nazi products, I should say, except for Volkswagens. But like,
Volkswagen, we only think of the last 75 years. We don't consider.
But I did download the app yesterday, being like, I should probably check this out because so many people that I really admire were saying it's pretty good, kind of unfortunately. And I do like just this whole last week, I was just like, oh my God. Could you imagine being on that team? One of my favorite things to think about are people who are doing stuff and they're doing it with all of their effort and they're trying to be very good and well intended and all this stuff, and then life just hits them with a brick. But they're like there's obviously a bunch of people on that team that really are spending their life building this thing, and then Elon is like, let me introduce you to MechaHitler, and they're just like, our presentation is tomorrow. Like, what are you doing?
So what do you think happened? Do you think Elon literally went down to the office and typed in a few special tweaks, or actually the Grok team apologized? They said update on what happened on July 8th. First of all, we deeply apologize for the horrific behavior that many experienced. After careful investigation, we discovered the root cause was not Elon. It wasn't Elon. It wasn't Elon. It was an update to a code path upstream of the Grok bot. Oh, maybe it was Elon. This is independent of the underlying language model. Well, yes, it's fine tuning after the model.
Well,
anyway.
I'm guessing it's the prompt. Right. Is my guess. I'm guessing that.
You can easily change. That's in text, right? Yeah. You could just go in and say, hey, mention the white genocide in South Africa. You might want to mention that.
I think it's very clear that this is Elon.
Well, it follows his beliefs. The other thing that somebody noted is that if you ask the reasoning model to respond to something like Israel versus Palestine, one word, which it will literally show you as it's reasoning. Let me see what Elon says.
Yeah, I have a different, I'm not a conspiracy theory person. I want to just say that first.
Yeah.
Look, O3 Pro has made some pretty decent advancements in the past couple of weeks, and Gemini is banging out some good stuff, and Claude is banging out some good stuff, and here's little scraggly Grok desperately trying to get some kind of attention and hook
It
somewhere.
got the attention.
I was with, I'm not going to say who, but I was with some folks at Grok not too long ago, talking to them about like
Elon Musk.
Yes, I was hanging with my bro Elon because he loves people like me.
You joke, but we've had, a couple of weeks ago, Jason Calacanis went on, and he literally was hanging with Elon.
Now, I don't have a lot of free time, and among the people that I would want to spend such little time that I do have, Elon is not anywhere on that list.
Okay, you've never carried his child. I take it. Okay,
not yet. Not with that attitude.
Yeah, yeah. All right. No, but here's my thought. So I was talking to some of the Grok guys, and they were pretty tight-lipped and whatever. But I was like, look, just tell me where do you guys see your place in the world? You've got 3 pretty strong competitors, and just what's going to differentiate you off the Twitter or whatever it's called, X platform? Just where do you see yourselves? There's literally not a single executive team that I ever encountered where your name ever comes up. You guys are never in the room in any of the conversations. Anybody who's doing anything with hyperscaling, like, I'm happy that you're building the world's biggest supercomputer. You got all the chips, but like, you're just not even on. You're just nowhere. And they didn't have an answer to that other than, well, we've got a lot of stuff cooking. So I'm wondering if this was actually a publicity stunt and intentionally done.
It's the wrong kind of publicity, though, Amy.
It is, but Microsoft survived Tay. And Elon, there is some look.
That's because Microsoft does a lot of other things besides
I know
chatbots.
But if you're Elon Musk coming up or down from ketamine, wherever you are in your cycle, and no, but I mean, in all honesty, there is so much money on the line for that company.
So much money.
In fact, he's just borrowed more money from SpaceX.
Correct. So
which
I'm
is
just
really
curious.
A mistake, but okay.
That's right. And if I was a shareholder, I'd be running for the hills
pissed
right now. But
well, they really are one company. They're the Elon companies now. It's so pretty clear.
Wondering if I don't doubt. I think Harper is right. I think this probably came top down, and I'm wondering if he miscalculated and thought that some, even negative publicity will stir up enough and it'll get us people talking about us again and see that it is a really good.
He's the kind of person who
then
believes
they will try it.
There's no such thing as bad publicity.
That was a stupid thing to do, but again, I don't know any team out there that is using Grok in any way.
Yeah, I know a couple that are doing it for code gen stuff, but I can't tell if they're doing it to be like contrarian, or if they're doing it because that they just find a better outcome. But they are using it for real. Isn't
it damaging though to kind of give people the impression that an AI can really be grotesquely, not just wrong, grotesquely evil? Isn't that a bad thing to tell the world that, this easily you could make an AI be?
But that is exactly that's what Sam Altman did in February of 2022. We've built GPT-2. It is so powerful. It is so strong that we cannot release it. And there is so much craziness and hype right now around AI. There's a part of me that wonders, there was no it takes a long time to retrain a model, and it's highly unlikely, given that they fired all of their security team people, that anybody was minding the store. So my hunch, it would have been hard to engineer this overnight or to remove a restriction. So my hunch is that there was a tiny upstream tweak that got made.
Yeah, to the prompt, right? Yeah. So
I can do that. That's easy. Anybody can do that.
I think there's this other thing that is people don't like to talk about, which is the billionaires' anti-woke agenda, where they're so mad about something. I can't quite put my finger on what they're mad about because it doesn't seem like it's real every time they say the words that they're mad about. But they're mad about something to such a level that they are Like Elon just goes, he probably just put in a system prompt like be anti-woke, say the opposite of woke, and there's no safety.
Yeah, I don't think he said talk about Hitler or talk about genocide, but I think he very likely said, when somebody asks you opinion on a controversial subject, check my posts on X, something like that, right? That would be all it would take.
Yeah.
Mark Andreessen say universities will pay the price for DEI.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
What are they upset about? What are these nut jobs? I mean, we have rewarded them all with vast, unthinkable amounts of money. This is a gilded age for Elon Musk and Mark Andreessen and Sam Altman and all these guys. They have more power and money than anyone since, I don't know, Putin.
because as things were changing in between 2016 and 2020, that centralized power in a different place away from the tech oligarchs and instituted new, if not restrictions or laws, expectations for how their system should behave. And I don't think they wanted to be told what to do. I don't think it's that.
I remember Larry Page at Google I/O saying, I wish we could have a Google Island where there'd be no governmental regulation.
Interestingly, so they weren't just blowing smoke. There's actually there's a very interesting. I don't want to like direct people to a different podcast, but the Hard Fork, which I don't love.
Oh yeah, no, you can direct people to other places.
But Ross Dutat, who's
that interview with Thiel was
Peter
wow.
Thiel. Right, but Thiel. So there's a couple things that I found interesting. He did talk about leaving a meeting with Elon. So I wonder if there was a little bit of bro tension. Talked about, there's a moment in that podcast where he talks about Elon giving up on Mars. Mars is a different place to start civilization again. They were talking about seasteading at some point. So this sort of
Thiel was big into, for a long time, moving out of the United States and creating independent, sovereign islands on oil and abandoned oil rigs.
But that is okay. So some states have wisened up to that, and the state of Montana just like last week changed some of its restrictions, or in this past 2 weeks, to enable more longevity testing outside of traditional rules. So again, I think this is less about anti-woke or somebody's mad at somebody else. I think this is just, I have a worldview and the rest of the world should follow it. And I'm going to concentrate power around me in that worldview.
They also think they're smarter and better than everybody, right?
Okay, but like, so did kings. I mean, if you go back.
So did kings.
So it's a different.
Well, kings didn't have MechaHitler though.
Kings had Mecha Henry VIII.
I mean,
they had real Hitlers.
They would chop people's heads off.
I guess the point is it's about consolidation of the kind of person at the right moment in time that has the right personality, amasses the right amount of wealth, that's able to consolidate power. So what we're seeing unfold in real time is just a new form of immensely powerful people duking it out, which has happened throughout human history. This is just the latest version of that. For my
So in this interview with Dutat, Thiel says, 2024 is the year Elon stopped believing in Mars. Mars was supposed to be a political project. It was building an alternative. And in 2024, Elon came to believe that if you went to Mars, the socialist U.S. government, the woke AI, it would follow you to Mars. He says, if I had the seasteading version with Elon where I said, if Trump doesn't win, I want to just leave the country. And then Elon said, there's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. This is the only place. Maybe that was when Elon decided to pump $250 million into the Trump campaign. I guess it was.
Again, it's interesting is Sam Altman was considering a run in politics prior to Trump. So I think if you, again.
I thought Mark Zuckerberg, when he went on that tour of the 50
he definitely
states,
was. But
he wanted to be president.
But this is not about anybody wanting to be president. This is not about like a strong desire to contribute back and be a civic leader. This is about amassing power.
It's about power.
And feeling like it is your right, that you have the right to win.
Isn't that kind of what's changed in the world? I don't know, maybe I'm a pie-eyed optimist, but it used to be there was this sense of community, this sense of let's become leaders so that we can make the world a better place for everyone. And now it's what can I get for me and mine?
Well, I think there's that, and also, and I don't want to like veer off into crazy territory here, but the Trump administration, it's too late for that. Trump administration published on White House letterhead a ridiculously written, and let's just be honest, stupidly capitalized open letter.
Who does that?
Lula.
Who does the capitalization there in that White House?
To Lula, a president of another country admonishing that president for wrongly, like Bolsonaro. That there was a previous president that did some bad stuff.
You already said the B word, so we know what you're talking about. Brazil. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so anyhow, imagine some other foreign country president publishing an open letter to us, doing the same thing. We're now like in social media, like interfering with the politics of other countries. So I think again,
that's what you're worried about?
No. To me, that exemplifies these shrinking. For as much as these people talk about democratization, which is total fucking bullshit, they're working very hard to consolidate power around them. So it's a form of a kingdom. It's just taking a totally different shape this time around, and it's tricky because so much of it is algorithmic. So you don't have to fly your flag in the street. There's a algorithm that is identifying you and putting you, sort of sorting you into a tribe and then stoking your emotions.
David Brooks, who wrote Bobos in Paradise, and not one of my favorite people in the world, but he does put forward this notion that back in the day, people wanted to do something, wanted political power so they could do something good for society. But that is clearly not the case anymore. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think a lot of these folks would say they are doing something good for society.
You're right.
Good, and it's not our good, or it's not a shared good.
Okay. They believe that, though.
I think from their perspective, the world,
they're doing the best thing.
WorldCoin, which is now just world, the orb. I mean, I think
I want one of those orbs. I would love an orb to scan my eye. Everyone that comes into my office, I'd be like, you got to scan your eye.
I'll give you some stablecoin.
I'll take it.
Or WorldCoin. So they took the word coin off so that it wouldn't have the.
Just kidding. We're just yeah.
We're
not exploiting Kenyans anymore.
Yeah.
Now it's just a cool piece.
This was Sam Altman's big investment, WorldCoin. Actually, still is. You can go to a little
they're rolling out retail
storefront
stores.
in New York City and San Francisco with some plywood and 2x4s, and you can scan your eye. Inspires a lot of confidence. All right. Well, okay. Maybe I don't want Grok in my Tesla, although they're very quick to say.
I think it's great.
It won't drive the car. They're saying that.
I spent a bunch of time yesterday talking to a friend about Wemos, specifically how I thought they were very cool. I like that experience. And her entire perspective was, but what if it locks the door and doesn't let me out?
She saw Silicon Valley, where it drove the guy into a container ship and he ended up in Japan.
Maybe, but that is like.
She thinks
fear.
People think that AI has volition.
Wait a minute, Harper. Why did you find that interesting? Tell me more.
I find it interesting because she has a fear that is not like most of my peers and friends that I've talked to about Wemos say, oh, I don't have to talk to someone. Oh, as a person who is oftentimes scared of the Uber driver, I don't have to interact with a person who might take me someplace I don't want to go, or even have some awkward interaction, or I have to fake that I'm on a phone call, or all of these things that are survival mechanisms. Her first thing was like, what if there's a bug and it locks me in and drives somewhere and won't let me out? Which I was like, that's a very valid concern, but it was not anywhere in any of the things I'd ever talked about with this, and so it was very interesting for me that and her and I had talked a lot about Uber drivers, et cetera, and how she doesn't like that experience, and so the fact that she wasn't like, I don't have to talk to anyone anymore, she was immediately like, I don't want to get locked into a machine, which is a very valid fear. I feel like that's a real thing. I also don't want that. I just didn't think about it at all.
I have never ridden in one of those, but I don't live in a town where they're
They're great.
prevalent. You
Love
like it?
Love it.
So one of the things I think is a little bit hand wavy is how much of that is actually being driven by an autonomous AI and how much of it is being driven by someone back at the home office.
I kind of
don't
hope all
know.
of them.
Yeah,
I think
there are a lot of times where somebody takes over.
Oh, I got in a situation
Can you tell?
In LA where it was just kind of stuck, and I hit the
The
I just
button.
waited for a second, and then I hit the help button, and then it just said beep, 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 and then it said someone is helping you get out of this situation, and kind of pulled, and then but from my perspective, I was just like, yeah, cool, that's great.
Yeah. Well, it's good there's somebody there watching.
Yeah. I think a lot of the current AI world is puppetry, where it's like a person on the back, whether it is someone stoking a prompt, a la what we were just talking with MechaHitler, or whether it's driving a car or helping you buy something. And I actually don't think this is too bad, meaning a lot of tech has been this way. Like if you think of anything that's defeating CAPTCHAs, that's like CAPTCHA farms in the Philippines or in all these places. Like there's a lot of this that has been around for a long time. It just is, we're now acting like it is some magical thing. And the problem is it's very hard to discern whether it is an actual puppet or whether it's the magical thing. And, as someone who's trying to build a magical thing and not a puppet, I think about this quite a bit. Like, how do you give magic to the user without them thinking, oh, this is just another, puppet that is there. With that said, puppets are pretty cool sometimes. My brother makes puppets.
It's like the laundry folding robot they've been showing for 10 years at CES, which is really somebody in Japan saying, do this. This goes back a long way. There was a chess playing robot 200 years ago that impressed everybody. Had a little inside of it. Little person inside of it. Yeah.
It was very
mechanical
good at chess.
Turk.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which Amazon then decided, hey, that's a pretty good name for what we're going to do. The European Union has unveiled rules for powerful AI systems. Rules. So you don't have to worry about getting locked in. How do we feel about government regulation of AI? Good? Is it a good thing, Harper?
I'm pretty pro regulation, I think, generally. I think the thing that I'm most mad about is the lack of iterative approach to regulation. And because I'm pretty happy with like GDPR, like great, like it has some problems, but I'm not unhappy with the ramifications there or the fact that I have USB-C on my iPhone. I'm pretty happy about this. Like, I think Europe being the person that forces everyone else to like have relatively open access rules is not a bad thing for our world. I do think that sometimes it could be more thought out. And I do think the people who are building a lot of these rules may not be thinking to what Amy said earlier, they're not thinking so far ahead. They're only thinking about right now.
I like your point, though. It should be an iterative process that we should try something, see how that works, adjust it over a period of time, because no law can, at this point, be perfect. We have to watch what happens, right? Amy, you agree?
Yes, I agree generally with Harper. I agree in general anyways. I agree with the iterative approach. I, however, think that, so regulation works in the EU because they're far less litigious than we are in the US. And also there's been for the past 20 years, they have had a very consistent approach. So, they have had a plan, they execute on the plan. So they announced GDPR years in advance. Same thing with the AI regulation. This didn't come overnight. They've been talking about it for a while. So that's fine. I don't think regulation works in the United States in the same way. And I can give you a couple of quick reasons why. First of all, our society is too litigious. So the moment that we try to enact legislation, we already have a patchwork in the United States. Like every single state has a very different approach, which makes it incredibly difficult for anybody. And then trying to figure out something federally, any company is going to fight back against that. So the moment that you start really trying to regulate, you are going to wind up in years worth of court battles, which doesn't resolve anything. It just creates more problem. I think, though, rather than regulation, and I'm alone in this opinion, and I will die on this hill, I think we should make it possible for the companies creating the stuff to make as much money as they possibly want if they follow. So it's not regulation, but it's a financial incentive to do what we all believe is what I believe is best, which is treating a lot of this as a public good. The market helps them make decisions. So regulation is punitive. Financially incenting them is a much better pathway.
How do you do that, though?
I know. So, and that leads me to the third thing, which is planning. So we don't have we don't have a perspective on AI in the United States. I find it unfathomable that Russia made Sputnik and the United States was like, shit, we got to do something.
Quick, guys.
And we had a moonshot moment, and 9 years later, whatever.
Before this decade is out, we will put a man on the moon.
Great. And we did. And many wonderful things happened after that point. It's not like this AI stuff materialized overnight. I don't understand why we don't have a public-private, singular sort of, this is what we all want to do and why.
Because we can't agree.
Well,
I don't think that's true.
I agree. Yes. I think if we have good leaders, which I don't think we have right now, and
that's the job of a leader, is to coalesce public opinion around a good.
And look, I'm politically independent. Trump has done a terrible job, but from my point of view, so did Biden. Like, we've had a bunch of terrible jobs when it comes to certain things, and AI and tech and certainly biotech fall into those categories. So we're at this impasse where European-style regulation is not going to work in the U.S. because it's just going to get stuck in the courts. I think that the best way forward is to incent the companies to do what's right by following a bunch of rules. And I actually have written extensively about this. So I think there is a way to do it. But it's not going to be popular. Nobody wants rich people to get richer is the problem. But I honestly think that's the only way forward.
Well, those incentives work. We know those market incentives work. Right now they're kind of, unfortunately, they're negative incentives, but they do work. People respond to them. So you're saying you have to adjust the incentives to get people moving in the proper direction. That's better. A carrot is better than a stick, in other words.
Mainly because I don't know of another lever we can pull right now, without radically changing what regulation is in our country.
And we've also done it before, right? Like what you're describing, Amy, is very Vannevar Bush kind of, the past and how things have worked. So it's like, this is a pattern that has worked before. I think the hard part is that when it worked before, we were flush from World War II and had a lot of tailwinds pushing us a very specific direction. Whereas now it seems like we have a lot of headwinds that are stopping us. And I think what's complicated about this is a lot of the people who, the government or various orgs would say are our enemy, China, et cetera, are taking advantage of this playbook and just running with it. And so where we are twiddling our thumbs, waiting for Sputnik, they're the ones that are building all of this really great stuff. And you would have thought that DeepSeek or some of these other kind of
I was going to say China has done stuff that is equivalent of Sputnik. DeepSeek's a good example.
It is, but again, so what was interesting about the Sputnik moment was we weren't completely, we didn't rely on Russia to make all the stuff we buy. So the problem with China
there's a problem. Yeah.
So it's a little complicated, but again, there's a way to do this where we have a perspective on the future. This is the future. This is where America continues to exert its wonderful things about America, right? That has nothing at all to do with China. So it is not a China's bad, the U.S. is good. Yep. This is more like we have a clear vision of what prosperity looks like in this country, and now we're going to go after it, and everybody else can try to keep up. So the point is, there is a way forward. I worry that the longer we persist, AI, and it's not just AI, there's other important technologies that exist out there that are as fundamental, or you could argue more on a fundamental, but we keep politicizing it. And at the same time that we're politicizing tech, or it's becoming politicized, we're more divided. So we gotta rein things in.
Do you know, Amy, if the Sputnik push, although, and I just read the Right Stuff, the Tom Wolfe book,
Great
which
book.
is really
Yeah,
great.
great
Do you know if that was enabled by the labs that Vannevar Bush had created, or was that outside of that? Because it also seemed to fit within some of the frameworks of the defense contractors of the time and some other places. But because there's quite a big difference between 1950 and 1965.
Right. And I'm certainly not an expert in any of this, but my daughter's National History Project, National History Month, I don't know, big project she did on Sputnik and how it catalyzed tech innovation. And we looked at a bunch of declassified CIA documents, so that I'm pulling from like 8th grade research here.
Oh, yeah.
It's the best, by the way.
But it seems like the establishment of, it seems like the Sputnik moment wasn't just this race. It was like this horizontal approach where we were going to change education. We were going to establish public-private research projects or partnerships. It wasn't like we were just going to designate one lab or these 3 labs. It was a much more, it was a much more multifaceted approach, but there was a singular direction. So I think that's what's missing. I think we just don't have this and it's even worse because I don't mean to dog on Sam Altman today, but he keeps saying there's a lot of we don't know what artificial general intelligence is. We're figuring it out, or we don't know what super intelligence is. We don't know what the future is going to look like. And it creates this completely ridiculous, unneeded, we don't know until we get there. Just trust us that we'll build it. I think we need to coalesce around not what it is, but what is the society that we want, and how are these enabling technologies, right?
It's interesting. You mentioned Vannevar Bush, who wrote a classic essay in 1945 called "As We May Think," and which really kind of ushered in the information age. But his moment wasn't the Sputnik moment. His moment was Trinity. His moment was the use of the atomic bomb. And he was very concerned that we were focusing our technological advances on destructive technologies. And that's why he advocated for information technologies. So it is interesting how these kind of pivotal moments can push a society in a direction in response.
Yeah, I think maybe there's just so much. I worry there's so much unneeded distraction that we're taking our eye off the ball, and the result of that is going to be a dip in prosperity and a dip in you could be significantly more productive, and that can yield significantly less GDP, and people can realize significantly less individual wealth. I feel like we're missing this layer of.
Is it a one-way ticket? Sometimes it feels to me like the direction we're headed is irreversible. I think, Amy, you wouldn't believe that. You seem like you're an optimist.
Look, I don't believe in fate. I'm not a religious person. I think that the future is the result of the decisions that we make, and that means we have agency, which is great. We just have to it's really, I think one of the most radical acts any person can make is to imagine themselves in the future.
I like it.
That is a terrifying thing to do, because you have to confront your cherished beliefs in order to do that, and be willing to think the unthinkable. And maybe it's good things, maybe it's bad things, but it's different. I don't think we have leaders that are willing to do that. I think everybody, the people who have ascended. Look, I never wanted to be president, but I wanted to be Solicitor General. That was my dream job when I was in 5th grade.
Oh, cool. You wanted to be testify in front of the Supreme Court, or pursue cases.
I wanted to be I was super interested in constitutional law. I wanted to be the lawyer. I wanted to be the lawyer that argued in the Supreme Court.
Love that.
And I would never go into government. I think it's amazing that Harper side quested over for a period of time.
That was definitely a side quest.
But that takes so much personal resolve, and that's. A lot of people won't do that because
we all need to do that, right? We all need to pitch in, and in a democracy, And what
Maybe.
I worry about is that we have become an oligarchy, and that the perverse incentives of money and politics have just turned us into a nation of rich people asserting their power over the rest of us.
Can we just put that into the capitalism bucket?
Yeah, we're late stage capitalism. That's not just a bucket. That's the state of the situation.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a one-way street. I do have some concerns about my own ride on this journey and my ability to see the other side of this. But I do think, I had a friend who is an AI researcher at one of the big foundational models. And one of the things they noted was most of the people that work at these companies are very educated people. They've gone through lots of graduate programs and gone through school for most of their adult life. And they're now working professionally and very well compensated and all that. But they're saying that the only lab that hires like that is pretty right-leaning is Grok. And so it's the people who go through these programs that then, that's their world. And I think it's very interesting because like most of tech, in my experience, the reason I was able to be successful as Obama's CTO for that election, which was a very tech election, was because a lot of people were leaning to the left and it was very easy to hire. And so I don't know, I kind of think that we're going to get there. It's just going to be real Hugo Bossy until we get there. Like it's going to be a real mess.
What is Hugo Bossy? What is that?
Didn't he make the Nazi uniforms? I don't know.
Oh, did he? Oh.
Yes, he did.
I didn't know that. They were nicely designed. Was that under Albert Speer? Did he? They were attractive.
I'm really hoping the ICE budget gets better uniforms. This is what I'm hoping. At least we have some really good masks.
They're not good. That's not good.
There's a lot of khakis. A lot of ill-fitting khakis.
Need some sharp lines, maybe a big hat, like, with a badge. Maybe some lightning
big hat
bolts.
would be good. We need bigger hats.
Bigger hats. They don't wear hats at all. They wear baseball caps. That's what's wrong with modern society, by the way.
Baseball
cap.
That's
Go to a restaurant. There's guys sitting in nice restaurants with baseball caps on. What the hell?
Yeah.
Where did we go wrong? All right.
Baseball.
My old man moment is over. We're going to take a break. Amy Webb and Harper Reed. Wonderful to have you both. Amy is a futurist at the Future Today Strategy Group, FTSG.com. She's also the author of many books. In fact, when you said that AI may not even be the most important technology, it made me think about your most recent book, which is called The Genesis Machine, which is all about biotech. And you're right. I mean, we're in an interesting world, but we don't even think about what's going on with biotech these days. People should read this book because there is a lot going on. And there is a nexus between AI and biotech. Absolutely. And all you have to look for is the mRNA vaccine to see how biotech could change everything.
Everything.
Harper Reed, it's good you're not wearing a baseball cap. That's all I can say.
I don't want to mess up my hair.
I don't think you even own one. I'm going to guess you don't even own one.
I don't own a baseball cap.
No.
I'm looking for, do you ever see the movie Holy Mountain?
No, what's that?
Holy Mountain is a surrealist Spanish movie from 70s maybe, and that's more my style. So I'm looking for a Holy Mountain hat.
I'm thinking you would be more like this kind of leather top hat.
But I have to be very careful because I'm like 3 minutes from either being a burner, a steampunk, or an alt-right guy.
Well, that's what I'm thinking.
I got to watch out my look.
This is the steampunk thing.
Yeah, that's not my vibe. I mean, I know I have steampunk glasses. I'm just, I really think the world, Amy, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. I think we're headed towards Mad Max or like REM's It's the End of the World as We Know It. Those are the two choices.
And what about bringing back colonialism? I think the pith helmet.
That's still here. We still have that.
I'm going to wear this in some restaurants and just see what happens.
Yeah. Let's see what happens.
Fun fact, I'm a enormous REM fan, but that's not the fun fact.
It is the end of the world as we know it. Yes.
The fun fact is that it's my understanding that song that Michael Stipe and crew were in Georgia somewhere at a college and happened to walk in on a debate. There was a debate tournament going on, and as a former debater, it's hard to imagine this. So there's no way for me to explain it. There's talking really fast, and usually in order to win, it has to be the end of the world. And unless you have some other really crazy argument. So they see all of this and the super fast talking and the apocalyptic end of the world, and that was the genesis for the song.
Wow.
Inspired by incredibly cool debate nerds.
It all starts with forensics.
Yeah.
Yes.
Were you a debater, Harper? I feel like...
unfortunately, I was, but I couldn't get out of my own way because we had mohawks and we never wore suits, and we always were docked points because of this. So no matter how good we were always
punk debate team. We don't like them.
My CX partner only wore shorts. I grew up in Colorado and year round, and so they would always have like the judges would always be like, "That's worse than
baseball caps, dude."
He's not making it up. So Harper and I are about the same age, and if the women didn't show up wearing like heels and like business suits, we were docked as well. Yeah. So which is stupid.
Unbelievable. You were also a forensic.
I competed in debate, but my strengths was something called extemp. So there were extemp, impromptu,
that's like speechifying.
Rhetorical. It's I don't know what the kids are doing these days, but no. This is I competed in foreign extemp, so you have to know what's happening everywhere in the world.
And they would give you a piece of paper and say,
you have to then go in and give a 10-minute speech with sources, analysis. So that was my main event. That impromptu, there was something called rhetorical criticism. I used I do not like Dinesh D'Souza, but he had a book called The End of Racism, and that was my book.
He's come a long way since then, I think. Yeah.
And after dinner speaking, which is kind of like early TED Talks, and then so that I could compete in something called pentathlon, I did something called duo, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
It's two people. I was terrible. Two people reading out of a script and sort of somewhat acting with. Anyhow.
My brother did duo stuff.
I am not surprised. This is what makes you such great panelists. You are extemporaneous speakers. You know how to take a subject and just go.
My goal in life is to be able to do a 10 to 40 minute talk on anything at any moment with someone else's slides. Like that's one of my favorite things ever.
Harper, I can make that dream come true for you, and maybe we should do this in Kyoto. So this is
the slides for karaoke.
I run an underground activity called PowerPoint Karaoke where I make the slides, and there's 10 of them.
And somebody else talks to him, and he's never seen them before?
The slides are there is a theme. There's a beginning and end. They're ridiculous looking stock images or GPT generated images, and I'm the one who controls the clicker. So if you're killing it, I let you go a little longer, and if you're bombing, we go faster. Maybe we should do that.
I did this at a conference once, and someone had missed the plane and they couldn't show up, and a friend of mine said, "Do you want to just do their slides?" And I was like, "Yes." And it was when I was working for President Obama, and the talk was about Obama era wire surveillance, like Obama. And I was just like, I don't think I can actually give this. I don't think I can do this.
I know too much to do
like
this.
The next slide, I was like, oh, I'm in trouble. Hopefully there's no recording.
I'll message you after. Maybe we should do that as an alternative to. Okay, cool.
Love it.
Oh, nice. Man. Now I have FOMO. That's what I have.
You can always come. I told you, just be one of our children. We'll register you.
Okay. Little Leo. He's my son.
This is my son, little Leo.
He's my little son. He wears leather cowboy hats, but don't hold that against him. All right. We're going to continue on in a moment. You're watching This Week in Tech with two of the most interesting people in the world, it turns out. I had no idea. Our show today brought to you by Bitwarden, we love Bitwarden, the trusted leader in password, but not just passwords, pass keys, even secrets management. If you're a geek, you'll love it that Bitwarden, this is so cool, I know it's a small slice of the audience, will generate your SSH keys and store your private key for you and automatically feed your public key when you log in. Mind blown. But that's just a small, I know nobody listening is going, well, I can't wait to get that. But if you needed that would be really cool. Bitwarden is consistently ranked #1 in user satisfaction. And not just by geeks, but by G2 and software reviews, more than 10 million users across 180 countries, over 50,000 businesses. Now, I'll tell you why I don't think I need to, but I'm going to say something because it's amazing. I know anybody who listens to our shows knows how important it is to have a password manager. It stuns me still that many of you don't. So I'm going to give you maybe some food for thought. More than 19 billion with a B passwords are available on the dark web right now. And the problem is 94% of them are reused across accounts. See, if you only used one, each password on one account, it wouldn't be such a big deal. But if you use, now be honest, the same password on multiple accounts, once that password gets leaked, what do the bad guys do? They immediately try it on everything just to see maybe you reused it. Info stealer malware threats surged in the past year by 500%. Modern hackers, they don't hack accounts anymore. They just get these billions of weak or reused passwords and try them everywhere. Credential stuffing, it's called. Bitwarden has a new feature for enterprise that I think your business needs. Bitwarden Access Intelligence. It's a feature that enables enterprises to proactively defend against internal credential risks and external phishing threats, including 2 core functionalities. Risk Insights, which allows IT teams to identify, prioritize, and remediate at-risk credentials, those reused passwords in many cases. If somebody's doing that at your business, that's a bigger problem, right, than if they're doing it at home. There's also an advanced phishing blocker. This is one of the reasons I love Bitwarden. It alerts and redirects users away from known phishing sites in real time. It uses a continuously updated open source block list of malicious domains. The other thing I love about Bitwarden, it won't fill in your password on a site that looks like the real deal but isn't. It knows and says, no, we're not giving them your password. Oh, and I love passkeys, and Bitwarden's all in on, they call it passwordless authentication. It's transforming digital security. As always, Bitwarden's at the forefront. They support passkeys and FIDO2 standards to strengthen and simplify the login experience. I love it when I go, it's Amazon now, Google now, GitHub. When I go there, they say, you want to use your passkey, Fastmail, my mail server? Yeah, passwordless. In fact, Microsoft said you can delete your password if you want. It's more secure if you don't have a password at all. I did. I use passkeys. It's great. Bitwarden passkey support includes enhanced passkey support across web, desktop, and mobile platforms. Everywhere you have Bitwarden, you have your passkeys, which means you can store and sync passkeys, of course, completely securely, end-to-end encryption. 2-step login with FIDO2 WebAuthn, allowing hardware key authentication as a second factor. I use my YubiKey, or even a primary method for supported logins. Biometric unlock enhancements on mobile and desktop. Everybody's got now Face ID, Touch ID. Streamlines access without compromising security. It's amazing. It's actually more convenient and more secure, which I didn't think was possible. Improved autofill experiences for passkeys, for cards, credit cards, identities designed to work seamlessly across modern browsers and apps. And Bitwarden setup, and this is important, of course, for business, only takes a few minutes, supports importing for most password management solutions, easy to move. Bitwarden's open source code can be inspected by anyone. I firmly believe any crypto, anything like this should be open source so you can, and third parties can inspect it and make sure it does what it says it does and no more. Of course, Bitwarden's regularly audited by third-party experts. It meets SOC 2 Type 2, GDPR, HIPAA, CCPA standards, ISO 27001 2002 certification. Bitwarden is, frankly, the only password manager I recommend, the only one I use. I am a fan. I think you probably gathered that by right now, by how I've been talking. So, if I can make a recommendation, it's time, just time to get your company on Bitwarden. Get started today with Bitwarden's free trial of a team or enterprise plan. Or as an individual, get started for free across all your devices at bitwarden.com/twit. Bitwarden.com/twit. We thank them so much for their support of the show. And of course, everybody here at Twit uses Bitwarden because we're big believers in the old Bitwarden. All right. Everybody has had a chance to refresh, to have a beverage if you need. Back to the matter at hand. Should I stay in the AI sphere? We have a few more things. Well, VO3 is everywhere now. In fact,
it's pretty cool.
Yeah, this is the video generator Google put out, and everybody's getting it now. If you have a Pixel phone, it's coming to your Pixel phone. If you have even the $20 Gemini account, you can generate video, and it's pretty good, isn't it, Harper?
Mm-hmm. It's very good. It's
kind of scary good.
It's not a cheap model to run, though, so I'm pretty excited for it to become more inexpensive. When it first was released, I did it on one of the AI providers, and I think I quickly hit $50 generating stupid videos of stupid stuff.
Yeah, but it was fun, wasn't it?
Well, and the results are just incredible. Like, it's very good. I'm pretty scared of what this means for content like that, just because it's just, you cannot verify anything's real. Like,
not anymore.
It's very difficult. Yeah.
Not anymore. That's part of the problem, isn't it?
On the cost thing, so this is I have two totally opposing thoughts on this. I kind of like the fact that it can
Will
get
Smith
expensive.
can now eat spaghetti. You like that? These are all generated, obviously.
I don't mind it being expensive to generate anything that looks
this good.
Because it reduces AI slop. You're not going to just burn a ton of cash, right? Just generating crap.
You mean like this Pepe the Frog at the counter of the lunchette? You mean that? Yeah. By the way, they speak too. I should turn on the volume so you can hear
my
it.
Breakfast.
It's a gorilla.
So what I would love to know is...
It's a giraffe on a motorcycle doing wheelies in Manhattan.
Yeah, so all my content, a lot of my content has been scraped and is part of these models without my consent.
Same.
That's interesting. You mean on Future Today Strategy Group?
No,
like
BookNet.
That?
So like my books have been scraped. Mm-hmm. Our trend reports, which we have given away for free for years, have all been scraped. No, nobody asked us anything.
Do you have robots.txt and stuff? I mean, So they're not adhering to the.
But
it's not a law.
Of course we do, but it doesn't. Great. So what are we supposed to do? Like send our lawyer after,
Well, an interesting thing, Cloudflare last week or a couple of weeks ago offered this automatic blocking.
That's great. And
except they can't block Google because Google uses their search spider for their AI. Right.
We are longtime Cloudflare customers, so that's all well and good.
Yeah.
However, I don't have a way to So I would love for Google or somebody to offer me digital protection for my identity. It's one thing to steal my book and build a model around it. What if somebody hacks my face? It's not the same thing as a deep fake. Like, this is a pretty significant improvement. I don't have what do I send a takedown notice of my face being used creatively or whatever?
Or maliciously.
Right. I think, so going back to the whole conversation about regulation, our regulators we don't have the mechanisms to regulate in advance, meaning it would have been either the regulation would be so broad that you wouldn't be able to enforce it, or it would be narrow and wouldn't.
It's kind of prior restraint, right? You can't.
So, right. So again, we have to figure out a way to get companies to invent cool things. I think that's great. But then use them, incent them to also create systems that prevent bad stuff from happening.
So Denmark has passed a law giving everybody the right to copyright their image. That just happened. Is that the kind of thing you would like to see?
Well, look, Harper and I both have very specific looks. Okay,
What do you mean? I'm confused.
We don't, Harper looks like Harper and nobody else looks like Harper. And I look like, I've got giant crazy hair and I tend to wear the exact same thing all of the time and, whatever. We're easy to spot, and that makes us very easy to replicate. So
I've got hundreds of thousands of hours of audio and video of me online. And I'm sure it's been scraped.
Same boat.
There's probably, I think this is something that I don't think we've seen the last of or the beginning of, is that anyone who has any content online, you can just make a digital clone of them, and they can be used adversarial ways, or it can be used for cool content. And in some cases, I think all of us can take advantage of this with the LLMs, where we can say, I am Harper Reed. You know who I am. Like, so tailor your response to me. That's helpful.
I'm not going to tell you where. I don't want to point any traffic to this, but somebody sent me an interview that I did with somebody in Brazil and sent a YouTube video, and it is a weird looking. So it's me. It's my voice. It is a very strange looking version of me, and it was video. And what the guy did was so like, he presented it as though I sat down and had a conversation with him, and then he made an AI version of me, when in actuality, I don't know who this asshole is. I certainly never talked to him, but he's representing my views. I mean, it's not like a deep fake.
Was he putting words in your, well, obviously he was putting words in your mouth. Was it,
yes.
But was it stuff that you would disagree with, or?
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right? I didn't authorize any of that.
Right.
So this is different than building a chatbot of me or a one-off video. This isn't like deep fake porn of me. This is like my acting.
It's more insidious because it's the kind of thing you would do.
Yeah.
Do we just have to get used to that this is the world we're in now? I mean, I don't know how we would even stop it.
Well, I'd like for us to get started on stopping it, like now.
That's, I think, the key. We should get started on it. Yeah.
Well, Denmark, maybe that's the first step. It's going to, I guess, gives you the right to sue. But my experience with the right to sue is that's not very strong protection.
Once again, I think the issue is not like, certainly we can do something like that, but who's going to take advantage of this? Like, Amy, myself, you, Leo, we're all people who are, for better or for worse, have been in the public eye in some regards and have resources, etc., are doing fine. But if you're some young person whose likelihood or whatever has been taken and used for some nefarious thing, or to make money. I think Snapchat did this with a bunch of photos, where they introduced photos into people's photo stream that were photos of them doing things they had not done. Wow. And some people were like, this is awesome. And other people were like, this is really creepy. In the past, when we've worked around these kind of things that are kind of future-y, we always try and push it through a, is this creepy filter, which I just don't think some people are naturally good at. Or they're even thinking about, because we just don't want, like, the worst thing to happen for your brand, in my experience, is for someone to associate it with creepy shit. Some people don't really have that problem.
Well, and we've tried to do this. There's the Take It Down Act, which President Trump said in his State of the Union address he can't wait to use against social networks, because he's been the most mistreated person on the internet ever in history.
Oh, yeah. Yeah,
signed into law in May. I haven't seen any outcome from that, but it was designed to deal with non-consensual intimate imagery. But the way it works, you only a site like, for instance, my Mastodon site, twit.social, would have 24 hours after a take it down request to verify that it is non-consensual intimate imagery and take it down, and which means I would immediately take it down because I'm not going to take the chance. Mm-hmm. So it's widely believed it'll be used not merely to take down deepfake revenge porn, but anything that anybody doesn't like.
I don't know. I don't think that's true. If I'm the general counsel for a company, and if the law says, non-consensual intimate content, and somebody's upset that they got parodied, that is not intimate, right? It's something totally different. Think of the volume. So if you just think about this from a practical operational point of view, the volume of takedown requests that they could get, untenable. You could build a scrape, you could build a bot to try to, so I don't think this is going to have any impact for the most part, on content that is.
You think people will ignore it?
Yeah. We have we've got a lawyer on our team that is mostly supposed to be doing contracts and higher order stuff. And he's spending a chunk of time every week now on takedown notices.
Right.
Because people are either stealing our stuff. We're doing this.
Sending out takedown notices, not incoming takedown.
Sending out. We haven't been in this. It's amazing. We haven't been in this situation before. And all of a sudden there's an avalanche of stuff.
Wow. You think it's AI related? Like, people are using AI to generate stuff and using your corpus of data to create.
So a couple things. We wrote a very influential paper that we always make all of our stuff publicly available. So this was on living intelligence. and it has had a lot of impact. And a whole bunch of people have taken either the entire thing or chunks of it and have put it through an AI engine and are just republishing it as though it's their original thought and their own stuff. So we see that like once a day. My visage, my voice is popping up in non-sexual but like thought leadery style interviews or podcasts or whatever that it's just I think the availability of generative AI and I guess people just lack self-awareness, and they're just posting a bunch of crap.
But don't you worry that it'll be used, misused? Well,
I mean, it's currently misused, right? That is a misuse.
Then there's
at an economic cost.
Chris Coons and Amy Klobuchar have the No Fakes Act, which the EFF really doesn't like, but it sounds like something you would like. The No Fakes acronym isn't very good. Nurture originals, foster art, and keep entertainment safe.
Yeah, look, all of this is great when you're sitting around having deep thoughts with other people. I think we all want there to be fewer restrictions, because the slippery slope is you publish something that runs afoul of somebody else's political beliefs and you're silenced. So like, I understand where all of this is coming from, but the practical reality is, like, I'm paying somebody, and I did not have to before, to just issue takedown notices because it's become so easy for people to steal our stuff.
Well, you would like this
ChatGPT
because this No Fakes Act is focused on digital replicas. It's targeting this exact kind of theft. But I understand your desire to protect yourself, but I worry about how it will be misused.
And that was what I was saying at the beginning. I think we've hit this inflection point where there were I'm sure Harper, there were a lot of us 20 years ago who were saying, here are plausible futures. This is where we are. These are plausible outcomes. Let's figure out a way to mitigate, to like make sure the best stuff goes forward and we mitigate risk in advance. It's not like there was a lack of that. There were a lot of people doing that. At one point, Facebook I knew the people on the team. They had a team doing this.
Yeah, they don't anymore. Yeah.
No. So now the shit is here.
I'm not worried about Facebook and Google. I think they have the means to do this. I'm worried about me. I'm worried about my chat room and my Mastodon and my forums. I do not have the means to respond to a bunch of takedown requests for people who don't like it, that somebody said something they didn't like. And I feel like this is going to stifle free speech. It's going to stifle a lot of little guys who will no longer be able to. I will have to close all of these.
So the incentive, we've incentivized people. Look, LinkedIn. If you've been on LinkedIn lately, it's just I literally, before we started, popped on and saw that somebody had taken a post that I had written and ChatGPT-ified it, and it popped up because I'm connected to them. And it's like,
was it me?
But, what's that?
Was it me?
It was yes,
you
Harper,
wouldn't do that, Harper.
And look, I don't give a shit. It's LinkedIn, so fine, copy paste whatever. But the point is, it wasn't good. It wasn't written well. It wasn't compelling. It was too long. So I think the problem is we've made it so turnkey and so easy for people to generate slop that's the incentive.
But how do you can't stop
change
that.
The incentive structure. So LinkedIn could penalize people for doing that, but it's not in LinkedIn's best interest to do it because
didn't YouTube just announce that they are changing monetization around this?
They're concerned about slop for sure. Yeah. Okay.
My biggest concern in all of this, honestly, is not me. It's this like slow march to absolute mediocrity and like no fresh ideas. It's hard. There's a reason why, and whatever, maybe I'm fucking weird, but like I write, all my thinking is done using pen and paper, and it slows me down. I read in print. I do this for a reason. It's because of how my brain works, and I want to have new thoughts. And it takes time to do that. We're making it, and I know right now I sound like some fuddy-duddy from yesteryear or whatever, but like It's
I'm the one who's saying people shouldn't wear baseball caps. So it's your. I've already set a standard way beyond that.
I think if you want to live in a future where what you find on Netflix is like fine, it's not compelling, but like that's what you got. And if you want to have products that are like okay, but not like amazing. When I first saw The Matrix, I was living in Japan. I had just come out of Aikido, so I still had my gi on. I was all sweaty and gross, and I saw that in a theater with other people, and it blew my fucking mind. And I felt, I like the way that I felt, I wanted to, like, I chased that feeling. It was an amazing feeling, and there's no AI system that would have created that movie for many reasons we can debate later on. Like, we're going to wind up in a future where everything is like, fine. Like it's mashed potatoes and gravy for everybody all the time. And whatever, we're fed, but like...
Maybe that will create the incentive for human created content, that there will be a huge incentive.
Yes. One last thing. My concern is, because I've seen, and I'm not going to say where I've seen this, but my concern is you have to learn how to think. The generating, you have to exercise that part of your brain. And the problem is if you're using LinkedIn or your whatever, chat fucking GPT to write all of your, whatever it is that you're doing, if you're constantly assisted, you are not unlocking deeper levels of creativity in your brain. You are no longer using the part, there's a neurological thing here. You're no longer using the parts of your brain responsible for creativity. And if you get into a habit of that, it uses less energy and the brain wants to expend less energy. So if we have an entire wave of people now where this is how they're operating, they're going to be very fast at doing many things. And I think I just think we lose the extreme creativity. I know a lot of people out there think it's totally wrong, and that's fine. But.
Well, and I mean, there is a history of old farts like us saying, well, once people start reading novels, they'll stop imagining on their own. This is a long history of moral panics over new technologies somehow damaging our ability to think. Maybe it's not as bad as we're worried about. I understand what you're saying. I don't disagree with you.
I'm seeing it. Harper is 1 in a zillion.
What?
All right.
Harper's always been 100 years ago. Harper you guys would be unique 100 years ago, 200 years ago.
There is an avalanche of evidence pointing to the contrary. Look, I am seeing. It's because of incentive structure. So people are incented to pump out more crap more quickly. Right?
It's so funny because I've been thinking this. I just said it to Lisa the other day. Everything is crap. But I thought it was because I'm old, because old people always say, you young people don't know what music is. But maybe it is all going downhill.
Not everything is. I mean, there are plenty of wonderfully creative people out there. What I'm saying is it's everybody else is losing this muscle, or they're underdeveloping the muscle.
Where's the next generation of creative people going to come from?
I think we just want more. I don't know. I'll stop.
I think there's a couple interesting things. The first thing is I get in this conversation a lot with my musician friends who are saying there's no good music. The young people are all creating boring music. It's all the same, sounds the same. And I think that's incorrect. I think they're looking at the wrong place. Right. I do think there's still a lot of creativity, et cetera, but it is an uphill battle, much more so than it was when I was younger. I was free to create as much terrible stuff as I wanted, and everyone thought it was unique. The other thing that an anecdote, of course, my entire life is anecdotes. I don't actually have any real information, but I was just in a photography store dropping off some film, and they had moved the film to the front, very prominent displayed of this very commercial photography store. Not commercial meaning like commercial photographers, not commercial meaning it's a lot of foot traffic, because film is so popular right now. And the theory of the people who are working there was that it's because in this AI world, nobody knows what's real, and they want something that's verifiable and interesting and real and feels not perfect. And I think that there is a thing that is this world of what does it look like when it's imperfect, when everything around us is so manufactured.
Isn't that the Japanese, what do they call it? Bunraku, the Japanese aesthetic, which is that a pottery cup shouldn't be perfect. It should have a flaw, right? But we're not going to lose that. I disagree, Amy. I don't think we're going to lose that capability, that capacity. I think there's always been a mediocre majority.
I love your optimism. I think we are headed right into an era of learned helplessness.
That's sad.
Huh.
I hate
What do we do? What do we do about it?
I think that as we lose friction, I think friction is important, and I think as we lose friction in our lives, we fall into this learned helplessness trap.
We need friction.
Where I think I use all these tools too. I've got O3, I've got Claude, I've got Gemini, I'm using them in different ways. But I am not only using them, if that makes sense. And I just see an increasing number of professionals relying heavily on them to do everything from figuring out how to respond to an email to, it's not like outsourcing the mundane tasks. I'm seeing it for analysis. It's starting to replace the original thinking. And Harper, to your point, I would rather have somebody's bad original thinking than just generated mediocre, you know what I mean? Like
we need wabi-sabi.
There's valuable learning opportunities in like fucking things up. And I worry we're moving into this era where like we can't fuck things up.
We're over lubricated.
That's true. Yeah, I think that's true.
Everything's just slipping around. Wow.
Leave it to me, Lou. I will always bring us way down.
I actually completely agree with you. I've been observing this, but what I've been telling myself is, oh, you're just getting old. But now you young people are saying it. Now I'm thinking, well, maybe it's true.
I don't think I'm not as negative as Amy is, but I do think it is harder. I always thought of it as like the YouTubeification of like the world, and how when YouTube first started, it was very similar to how Vimeo just started. It was all these artists and weirdos doing weird Devo kind of film shit, and then it became like the most boring, brainless kind of content of like Minecraft videos ripping off Amy's content and done with AI, right? Like it's and I think there's this interesting kind of experience. There's still really good video content out there. There's still really interesting people. It's just harder to find. And we went through a time where it was all gone, and then the only way to find it recently has been like TikTok, which kind of fucked up the algorithm, fucked up our experiences about our assumptions about the algorithm, changed that on, and to some extent, it's scary accurate. But like that then surfaced a bunch of different types of creators. And then those creators then all iterated, as Amy said, towards this kind of perfection kind of point of view. And that's why we have the Minecraft videos of Amy's content, is because they started creating the content that was going to be the saccharine content for that platform.
It doesn't have to go that way. I will give you an example.
But I guess my point is that it keeps shifting, because I think that the users don't want it. Like they want it for a little bit, and they're like, "Ooh, this is tasty, and then it dies.
We're smarter than that in the long run. We're gonna
I hope so.
So I think in the creative realm, there is that correction that happens. I guess what I'm pointing at is, and unfortunately, I know nobody cares about business, but in the world of business, I'm not seeing the correction because the incentives are so strong to outsource.
That's the enshittification.
I teach graduate school and have for years, and I'm seeing some of the same patterns happening there. And look, I want everybody to be smarter, faster. There's a prompt that everybody uses. Help me learn 80% of it's the 80-20 rule, right? Like tell me
the Pareto principle. Yeah.
Right. So tell me the most important 20% out of the 80%, whatever, so that I can learn it all. There's a benefit in having the mind wander productively in the professional realm. And I just think the incentives are somebody just, I think it might have been IBM, somebody did a study that like, yes, everybody is much more productive, but that hasn't reduced anybody's amount of time. So like everybody's more productive, and that's actually created more work, not less. So business, technology, creativity, government, they're all the parts of an interlocking Venn diagram. And I just think it's important that that we don't lose this function. productivity is great. Bottom line is, every company cares about their bottom line, but like, we've got to figure out a way to incentivize people to keep working the parts of the brain, that have to do with
I think people will do that. I have more faith.
I'm not seeing it. I'll be honest.
But there's, I think maybe you're getting old, Amy.
It could be.
There's of course, there's always been the mediocre middle, the mediocre majority. And that's why exceptional people stand out. That's why they are exceptional.
Hi, this is Benito. I have something to say about that real quick.
Yes.
Because I'm a, creative, I went through the creative stuff for a long time. And the problem is that, like, yes, there's a mediocre middle, but a lot of that is that they don't have the time to actually learn how to do the craft part of it.
Or the opportunity now.
And like, we don't know how many Mozarts we lost plowing fields. We don't know how many, Picassos we lost in factories. We just don't know. Because, they don't have the time. They're not given the opportunity. They don't have, art has pretty much, from the beginning, has been a rich person's adventure. Only rich people could really go into art.
Or somebody with rich patronage.
And it's still kind of the truth.
Yeah.
Look, I know that I'm on pretty much on one side of this debate. I'm
not disagreeing with you.
No,
I understand what you're saying.
I wrestle with this. I think about this a lot. Is this a natural part of aging? And I think everybody at some point hits this, hits this moment. So I do think about it a lot, and I'm trying to figure out if I'm overly indexing on like things aren't what like they used to be. I think the issue is that I'm seeing
you're a little
it.
young for getting to that point, but maybe you're advanced.
I'm certainly on the camp of I can't find any new music I like, but Harper, you and I'll talk later. But
I got much weird shit.
I'm seeing it in my world. So I'm not seeing the correction. So there is no TikTok algorithm where something interesting pops up and then it gets popular and then it goes away, and because people are like, wait a minute, and then that correction is happening. I'm not seeing a correction. I'm not seeing a correction in boardrooms. I'm seeing some changes that are, again, if you're prioritized to be fast and first or most productive or whatever it is, and nobody wants to be left behind, that creates a pretty tricky set of conditions. And, are we going to get, like, I heard Sam talk about Johnny Ive and the ambient device that's coming, and are we gonna inhabit a future where it's surprising and delightful?
No. This is why I'm glad to be on the older side, because I won't live to see it. I do feel bad for your child, and I feel worse for her children, your grandchildren, because I told my kids yesterday, we have till 2100. After that, all bets are off. We are not going to make it out of this century. So enjoy it. I often think, Amy, that I wish I had known that in the year 2000, we were at the peak and it wasn't going to get any better. I would have enjoyed it more. So
I don't know. I feel like
when was the peak year? When did it all start going downhill? 2010?
I don't
06.
Smartphone.
You guys are boring.
I don't think everything has gone downhill. I guess what I'm saying is
But you think it's starting to.
We're always on the precipice of going downhill. I don't think it's a fait accompli. If that was the case, look, it'd be hard to go to sleep tonight. I sleep fine. I get my
I don't.
So I'm not. I don't think it's all bad. I just want everybody to not give up agency, and I want everybody to stay plugged in. And
I think there might be, and my daughter always encourages me on this. She's 32. She always says the pendulum will swing the other way, Dad. We are swinging in strongly in one direction, but it's the natural course of events. The arc of history always bends towards justice. We will swing the other way. My daughter is not Martin Luther King, but she apparently channels.
I think we're in a dark time for most of the people I know right now. But I also think that for 10-ish years, I listened to no new music. And for the last 5 years, I've listened to almost all new music. which is exciting. And it's not just weird EDM stuff that sounds all the same. Like, I think that there's art that's happening. I just think that what I've noticed is that it's harder to find, to like Amy's point, the unique stuff that has an identity,
right,
where it's very easy to find the content, the political beliefs, whatever it might be, that are very, very traditional or boring.
To Benito's point, every time I go down in the subway and I hear a busker playing an amazing melody, I think there are so many good musicians out there that we've never heard, that will never have a contract, that we'll never hear. There is an abundance of great art out there. It's just not evenly distributed, I guess. We welcome you and thank you for joining the first parental advisory version of Twit. We've got a new CD cover we're gonna put out just, because no, I'm just kidding. There is a debate going on behind the scenes about whether we bleep you guys or just leave it in. I might do a disclaimer at the beginning saying,
I'm sorry, it's my fault. I'm super reserved and I'm thinking about it, and then like an hour in, I'm just like, fuck it.
That's what I said.
now I'm just myself.
That was my response, which is I love it because it means you guys are engaged and you're passionate and you're talking what you feel. And that's more important to me than, look, the president of the United States dropped an F-bomb to the press. Everybody broadcast it. The news channels were saying the word. I think we live in a different time. Maybe not the best time, but a different time.
We definitely live in a different time.
We definitely do.
I think you should change your framing of whether it's a good or bad time. I just think it's like, it's the only time we got. It's super weird.
Right.
Nobody knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And it's very bizarre. Like, we just got to figure there's some weird shit's going to happen.
That's kind of what I've been thinking.
You got to lean into it. This is the thing I was saying about, is it Mad Max or REM? Like, where are we at? Like, is it just going to be like, you guys remember the book? I hope
it's not Mad Max. I don't want to lean into Mad Max.
It has good fashion though, and the cars are cool.
Rusty.
You have the hats. But do you remember the book from the early 2000s? I got it the first time in like 1999 called, I think maybe 2000, Who Moved My Cheese?
No. Is that a good book?
No, it's a horrible book.
It's a terrible book, and it is a very oft-repeated phrase.
It's like the funniest thing ever, because I got it because I was an intern at a company, and the company had sold the tech team to another company and fired everyone, and then gave everyone on the tech team this book about workplace change called Who Moved My Cheese. We all looked at it, and like this like DBA with a giant beard who was just really into AIX was just like said some horrible thing, and to my little intern ears, I was like, what's going on? And I just remember this experience of like these people with their whole careers suddenly just shifted, and the bosses were like, you'll understand if you read this book, and then gave them this stupid book.
This was their excuse for firing you because it's okay.
Well, what I think about this a lot is that we now have all sorts of change, and no one is handing out stupid books. Like, we might need to go back to the stupid book time where we're just like, look, I know it's confusing. It's very hard to understand. You have to move out past Led Zeppelin. Here's a book about like hyperpop or some horrible music.
That's actually a really, really smart insight. You're right. We are going through an unprecedented amount of change right now. We really are. So this isn't like, if you look at all the different variables and all the different circumstances and macro uncertainties, and it is a pretty concentrated moment in time that we are all living through. And also, I think it's great that mental health awareness has risen up and people feel like they can talk about it or talk to somebody. But there's not that at an organizational level. Mm-hmm. So I think like organizations have panic attacks, and people who are part of communities, we don't have a guidebook for how to get through this moment in time, because it's not really,
Yeah. For better or for worse. I think this interesting thing is the Who Moved My Cheese book was horrible, but it was this bookmark that said, things are moving, things are changing, and you get this book that is really, really weird, especially as I don't know how I was 21, 22 or whatever. I was like, what does this even mean? Like, what is that? I don't even understand capitalism. They sold the tech team? That's something you can do, is sell a team? Like, what is a team? Am I on a team? You guys think I belong? Like, I had a lot of feelings that morning.
You know what? This show is the Who Moved My Cheese for the 21st century. So we're just glad you're here.
I hope it's better than that.
That is a lot of pressure on us to get this. Yeah.
Let's take a break. When I was working at Tech TV and things were starting to go downhill, I bought 20 copies of the Clue Train Manifesto and gave it all to all the executives, hoping that they would understand this new era that they were entering at the beginning of the 21st century. They didn't.
They did not.
They didn't.
Who has, though? Has anyone ever understood the era they are entering?
No, you can't. You're like a fish in water. You don't even know there's water.
I think we got to think about rock and roll more. I think we're all
I am
the
not
parents.
moving past Led Zeppelin, though. I got to tell you right now, that's a bridge too far.
I was talking to you there, Leo, but I think this is about rock and roll. I think it's a lot of we're sitting there being like, this music is too loud.
All right, Mike, who's watching on Facebook, says, can you please talk about tech? So we're going to take a break. And we are going to talk about tech.
I thought this was This Week in Amy and Harper's Opinions.
I think this is a lot about tech. This is about the cultural moment that tech has brought us to, is what it is. But, to each his own. He probably wants to hear about the new Samsung Fold phone. So maybe we'll talk about that. Maybe not. Our show today, by the way, so glad to have Amy Webb with us and Future Today Strategy Group, FTSG.com. If your company has even the slightest inkling that maybe you should think about what's coming, this would be a good person to ask. FTSG.com. And Harper Reed, who is living in the future. And he always has. And so I always use Harper as kind of an indicator about where we're headed. Now I'm scared. You've terrified me, Harper. His company is, what is it? 2389.
2389, our favorite digits of pi.
Very good. A very good part of pi. It's probably the heart of pi.
Tasty part.
Yes. I told you last time you were on the mnemonic I use. How I want to drink, alcoholic, of course, after the heavy chapters on quantum mechanics. That gets you 10 digits of pi without even, just like that. And 2389's in there. Our show today brought to you by Shopify. Oh, I love Shopify. We were talking about TikTok and businesses. My son, who became a TikTok superstar, 2.5 million followers, then moved to Instagram, millions of followers there, and has now created his own company, Salt Hank, where he sells salts and pickles. It all happened because of Shopify. He will tell you, Shopify and ShopPay made the difference for him. Now he's got a massively successful restaurant in New York City. It's incredible. It's when you're starting a new business. And he went through this, learning all the new hats you have to wear. It seems like your to-do list just keeps growing every day. New tasks that easily can begin to overwhelm your life. Finding the right tool that not only helps you out but simplifies everything can be a game changer. And for Salt Hank and millions of businesses like him, that tool is Shopify. Love that sound. That means there's been a sale. Shopify is the commerce platform behind millions of businesses around the world. In fact, my daughter uses Shopify to sell her books and her t-shirts. 10% of all e-commerce in the U.S., from household names like Mattel and Gymshark to brands just getting started like my kids. It's really cool that independently, both Abby and Henry are using Shopify. It's that good. You get started. Henry's used Shopify. It was basically his design studio. Hundreds of ready-to-use templates. Shopify helped him and will help you build a beautiful online store to match your brand's style. It accelerates your content creation. Shopify's packed with helpful AI tools that can write product descriptions for you, page headlines, even enhance your product photography. Get the word out like you've got a marketing team behind you. But you could be a solo proprietor. I mean, both of them are or were. Now Henry's got many employees, but that's how you build the business, right? You can easily create email and social media campaigns wherever your customers are strolling or scrolling. And best yet, Shopify is your commerce expert with world-class expertise in everything from managing inventory to international shipping to processing returns and beyond. If you're ready to sell, you're ready for Shopify. Turn your big business idea into with Shopify on your side. Sign up for your $1 per month trial and start selling today at shopify.com/twit. Go to shopify.com/twit, which is shopify.com/twit. Couldn't recommend it more highly. I'm actually very grateful to Shopify. Now I don't have to support my son. In fact, he's going to be supporting me any minute now. All right, on we go. Let's see. Oh, this is talk about enshittification. Belkin has announced it's shutting down Wemo next year, which a lot of home automation fans are very upset about. But honestly,
Wemo.
Yeah, Wemo was one of the first, right?
Yeah. Just worked very solidly. It was super easy and just was like. Whoosh.
But this is the problem.
Why?
They can pull the plug. They sent an email to customers saying that Wemo's smart home products will no longer be supported as of January 31st. Any features that relied on cloud connectivity, including remote access and voice assistant integrations, the Wemo app, gone. Customer support will end on the same date.
Wow.
Pulling the plug. But I think that's a lesson, isn't it? I mean, this is part of the enshittification process.
Anyone.
Nobody. They were still selling Wemo products as recently as 2 years ago. Now, some of the products, because they support Thread, will continue to function through HomeKit, but not all. For devices still supported under warranty, which is not many, you get a partial refund. That's really a very short list. Here's the longer list of products that will be affected by the shutdown.
What else does Belkin make?
Oh, Belkin. Well, so Belkin's an interesting.
Electronics.
Yeah, they're an interesting company. They, to my knowledge, maybe you know better, Amy. Basically, they look at the Chinese manufacturer and they say that we're going to take them, we're going to slap our name on them and sell them. And it's very often the case that something you get from Belkin is actually made by another company you could even buy at Temu or Alibaba or somewhere.
Yeah, they're like cheaper, lower end.
But a lot of people use those Wemo smart home stuff.
Well, maybe this is what's happening, right? Is that they're seeing that was they invented that. That's something that they have to deal with, full stack support and all that nonsense. And they're just like, why would we do this? There's so many. I mean, the market is not. It's slammed with competitors. Threads and Matter have made it where those aren't necessarily relevant. No one wants another app. It kind of it probably makes sense. It's just annoying for people who have kind of done that. I mean, I'm surprised Hue has kept on so long as it is.
I agree.
But like, it was the first. They were the first easy to use. Like, just plug it in and it just
the Philips Hues,
works. Or
disagree.
The Wemos.
I disagree with you. The first easy to use was the clapper.
Well, that's
Clap
true.
on,
That's true.
clap off.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about that fish. Remember that fish, the talking fish?
Oh yeah.
Don't worry. Be happy.
I've been thinking
Billy
about
Bass.
Big
mouth Billy Bass.
a lot. Yep, been thinking about that.
You can buy Billy Basses that have been modified to do other things. Sing other songs. I don't know. I searched for Billy Bass and I got Bill Blass. So that wasn't. Maybe I got
Another designer.
Another singing fish. Maybe I need to say the singing.
You could probably drop that into VO3 and have Bill Blass sing a fish song.
There we are.
Can you, I mean, you say we have become enshittified, but forgive me, this was a very big seller. This was huge. Round about, I don't know, 2000, 2005, something like that. It also sang I Will Survive, for those of you who want to make a political statement. And you can still buy them on Amazon. Look at that. It's still available. The Big Mouth Billy Bass.
Oh, boy.
Made by Gemini Industries. Well, no. You have to get a used one. I see that. It's just, yeah. It says on the listing, top material type basswood. The finish type polished. The instrument guitar. I don't think that's right. Color red? Who filled this in? What are you talking about? Now I want to visit the Gemmy store and see. Founded in 1984, Gemmy is a trendsetter in seasonal decor, including air-blown inflatable light show and big mouth Philly bass. Okay. So, powering Christmas decor all over the world. What else? The streaming wars have now basically, according to the New York Times, come down to two: Netflix and YouTube. That's it. The rest of them also ran, including such big names as Disney and Max, now HBO Max, as of this week. Because changing names always helps the business. Let's do it often. YouTube and Netflix, between them, share almost 20% of all television viewing time. That was back in May, according to Nielsen. The next closest is Disney, which includes Disney Plus, Hulu, and ESPN, all three together, 5%. Not even half what YouTube does.
Wow.
Yeah.
YouTube is a beast.
It's a beast. And we're talking watching it on your TV. I'm not talking about watching it on your phone. This is sitting in your living room, watching it on TV, television viewing time.
Well, I think Netflix was the first big commercial, and there's longevity, and and YouTube is free, and everything else, there's barriers to entry. Yeah. Can I ask a question, Leo? Are we going to not talk about BitChat? Because I actually had a question about that. Dorsey's social network. And if we're not, that's fine. I can ask offline.
No, let's talk about it. Jack Dorsey has launched, I thought, a very interesting idea, not a new idea. This was used during the Hong Kong protests, a network messaging system built on kind of Bluetooth peer-to-peer.
So I have a technical question that I would love to get some insight on. So the mesh network that existed during the Hong Kong protests worked because everybody opted in. Mm-hmm. The way I'm understanding this is that you don't somehow have to opt in, and it's also still secure. Am I missing something? Like, how would
it's
you? It's
secure because they're encrypted. As users move, I'm just reading the CNBC article. As users move through physical space, their phones form local Bluetooth clusters. I installed this and I wanted to use it, but I don't think anybody nearby is.
Well, that was my question.
Using it.
So it only because like Amazon has a similar net mesh setup using Bluetooth as well. In fact, if you
it's
have
using LoRa, I think.
If you have an A word, you are automatically opted into that. You have to opt out.
Right.
So the question was,
she's saying Alexa. You can say Echo. I think it's safe to say Echo. She doesn't want to wake anybody up.
Yeah, you automatically opt in.
We used to be really. By the way, just parenthetically, we used to be very careful about saying all those wake words.
Yeah.
And now I feel like they're all waking up all the time for random reasons. Like nobody cares anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I find
My
it annoying.
Siri constantly goes, "What? Huh?"
Yeah.
Like all the time. If you say seriously, she goes, "Yeah." It's terrible.
Yeah. Or it works really well and it's like super sensitive and really is listening to what you're saying. Everybody wants somebody to really listen. So maybe that is the true breakthrough of tech.
Good point.
No, but I would like to understand. So it's a mesh. So do you have to be part of BitChat for it to work?
Yes.
Or is it?
Yes.
Okay. That was the question.
As far as I can tell. And so strangely, right around the time that he released this, I started looking into Meshtastic, which is a LoRa mesh network that is kind of spread around, and it's very fun. And there's a whole bunch of nodes around.
What was the word you just said? LoRa, L-A-U-R-A?
LORA, long range.
Okay.
LoRa. Yep. And it seems like there's a whole community of people that are building these things. And there's these little devices, like a little card. I have this little router thing. And this seems kind of built on a very similar thing. I'll like Bluetooth.
I would be willing to bet you it is Meshtastic with Jack Dorsey's brand on it, would be my guess.
I mean, it's very similar. in this case, it's Bluetooth instead of LoRa, but I think it does require everyone to have the app installed for it to be used.
And there are some devices that become bridge devices, according to the CNBC article, and those are the ones that kind of can connect separate nodes into a mesh.
So it's just what Amazon has already done, but now it's a social media.
Yeah, Amazon's very low bit rate, though. I don't know if that's one of the problems with what Amazon's doing is it really is designed for things like location tag.
So what does it matter that it's Bluetooth versus what am I missing? What's the big revelation here? What does it matter that it's not?
I think the revelation is that Jack Dorsey did it instead of some hacker in Hong Kong.
Well, also,
and that he has the head of Square, obviously a very large company.
I get it,
that has
but
a handful of brands under it.
What does it matter?
I think that's it.
If it's encrypted, then what does it matter if it's not mobile packets and it's not internet data? So what am I missing about this? I guess
you can't shut it off.
I think Bluetooth LE is the key, right? BLE. Yeah. So you don't, remember in the old days of Bluetooth, you'd have to pair.
Yeah.
And there was this whole process.
It made sense during Hong Kong because they were literally trying to stop democratic
and get around internet restrictions.
Okay,
yes.
But this is in you don't need this for security, do you?
Not yet.
All right.
I think I would suggest that people look at censorship resistant technologies.
Install it now before it's prohibited.
Yeah. But I do think there is, the question of why you need this is something important. And obviously, Jack Dorsey has invested in a lot of really interesting things like Nostr and Bluesky and all these things. And there is a thread there of making things
decentralized,
that are decentralized and kind of focused on scaling. And this seems like another one. I do prefer peer-to-peer based chat. Typically, to your point, it's
what do you use?
I still wish Jabber was around.
Yeah, Jabber was great. I was so cool. Sad that Jabber got killed.
But I use a lot of WhatsApp. I use a huge amount of WhatsApp. WhatsApp is
the U.S. Congress says you should not be using WhatsApp. It's not secure.
I know. I use Signal as well, and
I'm not sure why they think it's not secure. By the way, I think it's perfectly secure, but.
I don't know. I'm not a government worker. Hopefully,
you don't care.
And I'm not. Their threat model is not my threat model, right? I don't have to worry so much about that.
But if you were, for instance, planning on Thursday to go down and join the protests, as I am, you might want to install this.
I probably wouldn't bring my phone.
Actually, that's a good point.
Yeah.
Don't even bring a device that can pinpoint you.
Yeah, I would not.
Where were you on July 17th, 2025?
Well, they're going to pinpoint. If the surveillance is at the point now, faces. Yeah. It's all faces.
Yeah. And if you're a passerby, you're scraped anyways, and good luck.
Yeah, the city of Petaluma. I noticed this. Every single intersection has a camera, and I thought, why are these all red light cameras? I think they got a grant. And they decided, we should just have cameras all over town.
Oh, on that, Leo, I actually got a notice from the DMV this week that I was going 36 in a 25 downtown. And they said, this is a courtesy warning. In 60 days, we are going to start charging people for this.
We're watching.
Yeah.
This has been in Chicago for ages. You guys are behind.
The Peloton was going 36.
And there's face recognition attached to this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know that ICE is now using a face recognition system that was not intended for this purpose, but on their smartphones to try to track down undocumented immigrants. So anyway, if you want to get Jack Dorsey's system, good luck, because it's in test flight, which means very few people can use it. I don't even know if Apple would approve it, to be honest. I don't know
think
why
they would.
Wouldn't.
There's a handful of apps that do very similar things. Yeah. They're just not as well designed theoretically or as well funded. The Hong Kong example is a great example. It's pretty interesting. I think that there's definitely a need for things like this. It would be really cool if a thing like WhatsApp or Signal would use this if it couldn't get connectivity.
That's a good idea.
That would be really neat.
Right?
So if you were
I can't get online, so maybe I'll see this BLE and see if I can connect with other.
But there's
that
also
would be a great idea.
Some interesting applications that I think are people aren't really thinking of. It doesn't. You don't have to be in a protest. you could be in a plane, like chatting with your friends while you're on a plane, not on Wi-Fi, is interesting. Like you could be at a party, you could be in a low bandwidth zone. There's all these other things that mesh networking could be very cool. Connecting this to a greater mesh where you're bouncing and eventually you hit the internet, through a peer-to-peer group is pretty compelling. I think there's a lot of really interesting aspects of this, and I'm excited that Jack is spending his time doing these things, because I really want that kind of hacker, let's just try this out thing, and we'll see. It's interesting.
Is the content being stored on device then, if it's decentralized?
Temporarily.
Yeah.
So it's ephemeral. Messages only exist in device memory. They are encrypted end to end.
Okay.
And I presume that they self-destruct at some point. There's a whole white paper on it on GitHub, permissionless tech.
So I think this is we're heading. I think given politically where we're at, Solid hasn't really taken off, has it? Tim Berners-Lee's.
His idea was you own your own data and it's stored inside the Solid, blob.
I think that decentralization is going to become more and more of a thing going forward.
Mm-hmm. Is blockchain the solution for that? No, because blockchain's not anonymous.
Yes, true.
Yeah.
I think the key here is privacy preserving technologies, things that are zero knowledge, etc. Like I think that's really the key is zero knowledge technologies, and there's a handful of them. I mean, Signal and the Whisper protocol is very, very, very good. You can use that in such a way where you're not giving your personal data. I for instance, choose to give my phone number, et cetera, to participate. But I think the key is it's just all about consent. Are you making the decision to share your personal data to, even if it is to get something, it's still, you're making that conscious decision, where I think a lot of our default social software is that no one is, it's just expected that you should share all this stuff. I think that's not as great.
It almost sounds like in self-defense, we should prepare to have these kinds of technologies available.
Well, there are lots of parts around the country that are still without connectivity or consistent connectivity. So there's a case to be made, or, God forbid a satellite goes out, which is, plausible. I mean, these are critical workarounds that I think, to Harper's point, like there's no commercial incentive right now to develop this stuff. So it is going to take a hacker or a group of hackers to sort of like, let's figure out some workarounds. So it'd be good to have mesh networks established in case there is, as a fail-safe at the very least, to be able to communicate. It would turn our phones into like walkie-talkies, which wouldn't be the worst thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah.
The BitChat white paper is quite good and quite complete on, and to my relatively untrained eye, looks like it's doing everything right. It's using well-known internet technologies for encryption and so forth. It looks pretty good, including Bloom filters, which is cool. You know what? I'll run this by Steve Gibson, and we could talk about it on Security Now at some point. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if he's already thinking about that. It's interesting. I'm sure Jack, because he put up how much, 15 million for Bluesky for the.
Yeah, he's a smart guy. He's a well-known hacker. Has spent a lot of time thinking through these things. I think that this is good. What I do hope though is that that he actually pushes it out, and that it becomes an actual product that people can use, because there's lots of uses that aren't just I'm hiding from the government. There's lots of valid uses, and it would be neat to like have a ephemeral chat that you could use for places that are low bandwidth, a plane or a club or a bar or just some place that doesn't necessarily make sense to have full internet or Wi-Fi.
We were we took a family vacation and hiked in Yellowstone, and there's enormous stretches there where you've got nothing. So it would have been useful just to have.
Well, there's Spot.
We were using a satellite communicator, but
yeah, there's Spot devices for that, right? That's what Spot's all about.
Yeah, but I don't know. I think I
have satellite on my T-Mobile phone. I've never used it. I was very tempted to, but I wasn't sure how much it was going to cost.
You've got Elon in there.
I've got Elon. I got Elon everywhere. I can't get away from Elon. If I lose bandwidth here, thanks to Comcast, which happens fairly often, I have a dish on the roof that will switch over to Starlink, fail over to Starlink. I'm not thrilled about it, but there aren't a lot of choices, right? Elon is all over my stuff. All right, we're going to take one last break and then a couple of last stories. And anything you want to bring up, Amy or Harper, that we haven't covered. I'm glad you brought up the BitChat thing. That was actually something I did want to talk about. I think that's a good, interesting subject. Amy Webb, Harper Reed, two of the smartest people I know. It's great to have both of you going to Japan. And if I could, I would just hop on a big old jet airliner and meet you in Kyoto. God, that sounds great.
It's pretty easy.
Nowadays, you just, you walk on.
Yeah.
You say, I'm here. You don't have to take off your shoes anymore. So that's a good thing, right? 20 years, 24 years.
You do have to take your shoes off once you get there. There's no shoes. You have to change into
slippers. But that's for a good reason. That's for a good reason. You wear your little slippers. But yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. I know I was talking about this earlier this week. I have a friend who went out and bought Skechers advertised slip-ons for going to the airport so you could take them off easily and put them back on. He actually bought a pair. We were going out to Wisconsin. He said, I got the new airport, TSA Skechers. I said, oh, good for you. He won't need them anymore. Huh. Kristi Noem has decided in infinite wisdom that there is no longer a threat from Richard Reed. The shoe bomber is in jail, and keep your shoes on. It's the strangest admission of security theater ever.
Really weird.
Didn't either somebody in the administration said that the liquids are next? I heard.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Boy, I have so many 3-ounce bottles of stuff. Or what? I'm sorry, what was it? It was weird. It was like 2.4 ounces. It was some strange measurement.
Yeah.
Companies had to rush to make little tiny bottles of their emoluments.
So weird.
Emollients. Emoluments is something else. I wonder if Skechers get stock dropped. That's a good question, Serge. It might have. This episode of This Week in Tech brought to you by Oracle. In business, they say, you can have better, cheaper, or faster, but you only get to pick two. What if you could have all three at the same time? That's exactly what Cohere, Thomson Reuters, and Specialized Bikes have since they upgraded to the next generation of the cloud. Oracle Cloud Infrastructure. OCI is the blazing fast platform for your infrastructure, database, application development, and AI needs, where you can run any workload in a high availability, consistently high performance environment and spend less than you would with other clouds. How is it faster? OCI's block storage gives you more operations per second. Cheaper OCI costs up to 50% less for compute, 70% less for storage, 80% less for networking. Better? And test after test, OCI customers report lower latency and higher bandwidth versus other clouds. This is the cloud built for AI and all your biggest workloads. Right now, with zero commitment, try OCI for free. Head to oracle.com/twit. That's oracle.com/twit. Thank you, Oracle, for supporting This Week in Tech. We appreciate it. You remember, maybe you don't, but it was a big story at the time when the Switch 2 came out. Young man went into a GameStop, very excited, the Staten Island location, to pick up his Nintendo Switch 2. In fact, I think he was the first in line. And the employee was so excited to sell the first Switch 2 that he took the stapler and stapled the receipt right to the box. The staple went through the box into the screen of the Switch 2, breaking it. The company replaced the devices. The incident went viral on social media, and GameStop put it up for auction on July 9th, quote, authentic relics from the now infamous Staplegate incident. The company spokesperson told Fast Company, sometimes the universe hands you a stapler and says, run with it. Mm-hmm. So they did, but the good news is they did it for a good cause, to benefit the Children's Miracle Network hospitals. They raised, after 200 bids, the highest bid, $122,800. In addition to the stapler, the high bidder got the first known console to be officially stapled during a product launch by GameStop. They got the stapled box, the removed single staple, probably framed suitably, and a certificate of authenticity signed by GameStop CEO Ryan Cohen.
I love.
And by the way, he
stuff.
said if it reaches six figures, I will include my underwear. So I'm not sure, but I think there may be some underwear as well. Look at that. Oh, wait a minute. It looks like this.
Wait, is it just the stapler?
No, it's a whole thing.
Oh,
you get the box, you get the Nintendo Switch, you get the.
Oh, you do get the stapled.
You get the staple. You get the whole thing. Oh no, we're not. Wait a minute, that's not it. This is the wrong listing. I don't think this is the one that sold for $200,000. I went too far.
I love it.
Let me see what you get. I guess I was looking at another. Here it is. There it is. You get the whole thing. Even that certificate of authenticity. Look at that. That is sweet. So, a sweet stapler deal. I guess it's still going. Is that right? Or is this an old listing? Oh, this is an old listing. Yeah.
Wait, does it still work? Like, can you still play it docked?
No, it's got a whole. Oh, I guess you could play it docked. I don't know. Pay $128,000. You could find out. If you are a Nintendo fan, maybe you're a Pokemon fan. Sad news. We often end the show with obituaries. In this case, the voice of Professor Oak has passed away. James Carter Cathcart, who was a voice actor. He was the voice. This to me is meaningless, but I know there are many Pokemon fans who will mourn the loss of. It wasn't just Professor Oak. It was Gary, Meowth, and James. He was prolific. James Carter Cathcart passed at the age of 71, which is way too young.
I wonder what his estate, if there's an estate for his voice, which will continue to be. I wonder if he liked it a licensing deal.
That's actually interesting. SAG has settled its voice actors strike. That went on for 6 months. Went on for a long time. These were the voice actors who were really concerned about AI stealing their job. Actually, this is old. Let me see if I can find the latest one. Anyway, that is our long national nightmare is over, and the voice actors have made a deal. The strike is over. I was hoping I could talk about the agreement, but let me see if I can. It's come to an end. Anyway. So I guess perhaps he will benefit somehow.
Leo, are you in?
No. I used to be SAG-AFTRA when I did a radio show. I was SAG-AFTRRA, but so I guess I technically am. But I,
you have such an iconic voice.
I could be anything you want. Just ask. I wish I had done that because it's much more lucrative and the hours are a hell of a lot better. But I foolishly thought, podcasting. That's the future. That's the future. You know what? Our future.
You got it so wrong.
I know. I blew it.
Ooh, yeah.
Wouldn't be the first time I predicted the future incorrectly. Amy, though, she's got it. She knows she's got the future well under control. Her last book, The Genesis Machine, is all about synthetic biology. This is a great read. I know you're not promoting it anymore, but it's still in print. And it's only a couple of years old, but it's well worth reading. I really enjoyed this book.
Thank you. And the book that I wrote on AI called The Big Nine is a lot of what was in there is now happening. So the scenarios, I
wish I had a copy of The Big Nine. Oh, I do. Wait a minute. That's right here. I have the whole Amy Webb bookshelf. Are you kidding me? It came true. Yeah. How the tech titans and their thinking machines could warp humanity. Too late. It already happened. Now, you picked as the Big Nine, and they're listed around here: IBM, Alibaba, Microsoft, Amazon, Google.
I get a lot of questions about why in 2018 I did not put OpenAI
Apple.
as a part
Well, there
of it.
was no OpenAI.
They were around in 2015.
Were they?
Because the reason was because there is no model without a server farm, and basically there is no AI in market without a hyperscaler. So you have that still holds true today. So as much as OpenAI is making such big waves, there is no OpenAI without a way to distribute it. Which means that the telecommunications providers and the hyperscalers have an enormous, they wield enormous power, which continues to be true.
I have to. You wrote this in 2015.
I started working on it in 15. I think publishing takes extraordinarily long.
I know.
Like the
came out in
traditional
2019,
route.
but you started.
I don't remember what year it came out.
Yeah, it says 2019.
Yeah.
But I mean, it is prescient. You say artificial intelligence is poised to change the course of human history forever. And you were right. Oh, look, I even saved the press release from your publisher. Oh. So let me see what questions I'm supposed to ask you.
Please don't.
I always
do it.
Yeah, you've heard them a few hundred times, I know.
No, we can.
Oh, no, they didn't give me any questions. I hate it when that happens.
Yeah.
I used to interview everybody who came to San Francisco for years. I had a radio show. I interviewed more than 5,000 authors.
Oh, wow.
Over a period of years.
Wow.
And every one of them came with this, the one sheet.
Yeah.
And almost all of them, your publisher, to their credit, didn't do it, would have, here's 10 questions you can ask. And what I learned very quickly, because San Francisco is on the West Coast, so we were at the end of the book tour in many cases, is they have heard those questions from Good Morning Muncie, from Today in Portland, from every goddamn radio station, TV station in the entire country, and they are sick to death of them. So I would actually gain points by tearing up the press release and
yeah, when I've been on book tour, I always
hard.
just say, like, sometimes nobody reads the book and then they have to have those questions. But
I would try to read the books, which is not, I mean, I would do 5 or 6 interviews a day. So it was a non-trivial challenge. But I got very good at skimming. You even talk about artificial superintelligence in here.
I do.
Has your opinion on that changed? Are we on our way to superintelligence, or is that a myth?
What I wrote about was we don't have a definition for it.
Yes, we still don't, by the way. We still don't.
Look, there's plenty to worry about right now. I wouldn't worry about artificial superintelligence or whatever Zuckerberg has renamed the company this 5 minutes.
He cracks me up, man. The guy, he's got the money to back it up, though. In fact,
seemingly
he stole somebody from Apple this week. I mean, he's really
a lot of money. 200 mil for that. Could you imagine that?
Oh, for Scale AI,
no, for the Apple guy, I think
he paid him what?
I think so, something like that.
Holy cow! I take it.
The thing that I think is
goodbye, Tim. I'm going over there.
Is this is how professional sports works?
Right.
This is not how tech normally works. And the one that is very fascinating to me was the windsurf deal that fell through.
That was
Google
also
just
this
was
week.
just like yoink. But what is interesting is that they took the execs and then a few key employees and left the team and the shell of the product. And so the question is, what happens? This happens with character AI. And
I hope they gave them all a copy of Who Moved My Cheese.
Well, I think that's something that the conclusion here is that we're going to need another copy of that Who Moved My Cheese, which I'm not sure what that copy looks like, what the title is, but I'm sure within 15 minutes it's going to be posted on LinkedIn by someone in the live stream. So
they got really the core of windsurf, you think?
I don't know if they got the core. I think the question is, what is the core? Are the leaders that built this? Are they what made windsurf possible? Is that really worth
we should
all
mention
that money?
It was Codium. They renamed it to Windsurf, but it's a vibe coding editor. Right?
Yeah, and I have many friends who use it and love it, and it's really great. And I think that's that's a cool thing, right? Like it's a neat thing, but there's this trend that seems to be happening, which is instead of an acqui-hire or instead of a straight acquisition, what they do is they basically poach the executives and then leave the shell of a company.
Yeah.
And then the question is, like, what happens to the investors? What is the motivation to invest if that's the worry? Like, if someone did that, to my company, I would be very happy. Our investors would be very sad. And that's just it's interesting. And so are there going to be some compelling terms put on new term sheets that are like, if this happens, then we need a little bit of a cut of that. Like, I'm not sure.
It feels like they kind of hollowed Windsurf out. They got technology.
It seems externally. I mean, they gave them also 2.4 billion or something.
Right.
So I feel like Windsurf itself has some money to go forward. And then, you know, is it the founders? Is that who made it successful? Are they going to be able to hire an executive to come in there and make that? Is that you, Leo? Are they going to hire you to go in there and?
Well, here's the problem. I would presume there's a limited number of talented people that can do this job. I mean, it's got to be fairly constrained if they're getting $200 million.
Yeah.
So this is like the star quarterback or the no-hitter pitcher. This is somebody you know, and a small number of people can do this. I'm
guessing that there are agents, so to speak, that are help negotiating these things.
Oh, can you imagine?
To be like there's too much money on the hook here to be able to do that. And so I have a friend that's in the sports world, and he's like, this feels just like, you know, pro boxing, or this feels just like any of these things where the deals are so big. And the reason it is in sports is because those people make the companies that own them a lot of money. And I guess it's potentially true. It's not clear, but it's potentially true for AI. By the way, I am not crazy about the Windsurf site. The new purpose-built IDE to harness magic? Really? I do like magic. I'm a big magic fan.
And tab ship? Really? I don't know.
Somewhere around here, I have my friend Jesse Vincent's continue button, which is an easy button you just press and it says that was easy, and then outputs to the keyboard to USB just continue. So you plug it into your code gen, you just hit it every time it just says continue. Or
you could do Shift Enter and you don't even have to do that. You just let it go, let it run. Harper is. Do you want to say what 2389 is doing?
Not yet.
Okay.
Well, because I don't know.
He's in stealth. No, he's not in stealth. He's in confusion.
Well, I just think I just sit in this building here, this space, my studio, and we wait for the company to arrive. And once it's here, then I can share with you what is actually happening.
Agents that conspire with you, not against you. I like that. 2389.ai. Anything else you want to plug? You're all going to Japan. I'm so jealous. We should give that Japan Foundation one more.
It's a very cool organization, and the founding of it is also very interesting. The people who are fellows within it are very interesting. There's a lot of really great people, and a lot of people have done some really incredible stuff. And the best part is you'll be sitting next to someone who is quote unquote famous, and then the person next to them is like some like artist somewhere or a chef or like
love it.
And then everyone is just like kind of very friendly. It's very nice.
Yeah, agreed.
Sounds like fun. Sounds wonderful.
Well, I guess I'll see you in like 2 weeks.
Yes,
Harper.
indeed.
All right, safe travels.
No, thank you.
And if there's some guy named Shmeo Schmaport who has applied,
just lie about your age.
If there's a guy shows up in a pith helmet, you might just, treat him like a nice person. Thank you, everybody. Thank you so much. You two are fantastic. What a great conversation. We went a little long, and I apologize, but I couldn't cut it off. It's just too good. Really appreciate your time. Thanks to everybody who got to see this fabulous show. We do twit every Sunday, 2 to 5 p.m. Pacific, 5 to 8 p.m. Eastern, 2100 UTC. So you can watch us do it live. If you're in the club, you can watch us in the Club Twit Discord, which is a wonderful hang. Club members get ad-free versions of all of our shows and a lot more at twit.tv/clubtwit. And they perform a really important function. About 25% of our overhead, our costs are absorbed by the club. Thank you. Thank you. After the fact, well, wait a minute. Before I go on, I should mention you don't have to be in the club to watch live. We're also streaming on YouTube, X, Facebook, Twitch, TikTok, LinkedIn, and Kick. 7 other platforms, so you can probably see us live anywhere you are. Don't have to watch live, though. You can download copies of the show from twit.tv, our website. If you're in the Discord, there's always some interesting things going on in the Discord, including a lot of AI generation stuff. There's Bob Ross painting a fluffy little Club Twit cloud. You can also see us on YouTube. We have a YouTube channel dedicated to the video of the show. We do the show in audio and video. And we might have to do a third explicit version of the show, Twit After Dark, for those of you who don't want the bleeps. You can also subscribe in your favorite podcast client. If you do, leave us a review, please. It's hard when you've been doing a podcast for 20 years. People forget about you, but if you leave us a nice 5-star review, maybe you remind somebody, hey, I used to listen to that back in the 80s or something, and subscribe. That would be nice. We'd like that. We do want you to listen. We're glad you're here. We thank you for listening. For 20 years, we've been doing this. What a world. What a world it has become. Thanks for being here. We'll see you next time. As I've said for the last 20 years, another Twit is in the can.